call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming today. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Supervisor Moore.
Present.
Councilman Neely.
Present.
Councilman Iacilli.
Present.
Councilman Powell.
Yeah.
Councilwoman McNamara.
Here.
Thank you. I wasn't here for the last meeting, but I did watch it and review the minutes, so I'd like to move to adopt the minutes from the Town Board meeting of March 24th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please read the communications?
Certainly. The following communications have been received in the office of the town clerk. We have received public notices from the Suffolk County Department of Economic Development and Planning regarding a notice of agricultural and farmland protection board meeting on April 16th, 2026, 5 p.m. Village of Quogue Zoning Board of Appeals, application for 117 Dune Road, and public hearing notice for 6 Oak Lane in Quogue Village. Village of North Haven, public hearing notices to override the tax levy and to amend a chapter for protections into required lots. Village of Southampton Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation, 218 Pond Lane, Southampton. New York State Liquor License 30-day advance notice to local municipality application for 203 Bridgehampton Sag Harbor Turnpike, Bridgehampton. Correspondence regarding the following has been received. Landmarks Board's certificate of appropriateness for 6 locations, optimum program notice, removal of Estrella Channel, Planning Board matter of 94 Dune Road, LLC, East Quogue, proposed amendments to Chapter 312-20, parking of Gravel Hill Road, Hampton Bays, proposed amendments to new Article 13A, land disturbance legislation, request for a medical journal subscription at the Hampton Bays Public Library, support for OLA's request for ICE legislation, Zoning Board of Appeals application for Myco LLC, Henrico LLC, and 61 BHSH Turnpike LLC, Bridgehampton. Following bid and RFP submissions were received Wednesday, March 25th, a bid for an automatic baling machine. Wednesday, April 2nd, RFP for sailing at Tiana Bayside, received no bidders. Wednesday, April 8th, 2026, a rebid for landscaping and plant cultivation services west of Shinnecock Canal. And the following report was filed from the Town Comptroller, February 2026 and March 2026 monthly financial reports. And that concludes the communications for this meeting's agenda.
Thank you. I have 4 walk-ons, resolutions. The first is 2026-0717 to authorize the sole assessor to attend the 2026 New York State AA Association of Assessors quarterly meeting. The second is 2026-0718 to amend the 2025 budget for various departments. The third is 2026-0721 to award BP 2026-0018 and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Coastal Commercial Property Management, Inc. for the rebid landscaping and plant cultivation services at various town locations west of the Shinnecock Canal. And the fourth walk-on is 2026-0722, which is the warrant number 7. I move to add these 4 resolutions to the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that brings us to the public hearings. Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the first public hearing?
Certainly. Public hearing number 1, amending Southampton Town Code, Chapter 330, entitled Zoning, by adding new Article 13A entitled Land Disturbance Ordinance.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, members of the board. Janice Scherer, Town Planning and Development Administrator. Thank you for the opportunity to go through this code again today. We have submitted some revisions requested by the sponsors based on all of the testimony and written commentary, etc. I don't know if you want to
Yeah, no, thank you, Janice, and thank you for all your hard work on this. I know this has been quite a process. I just want to make mention that since we had our first public hearing, I sort of did a little bit of a tour. I went on tour and spoke to a lot of different communities and individuals. Spoke to members of the business community. I was invited to speak at an event hosted by the Southampton Business Alliance. I spoke to other various business owners. I spoke to lawyers who represent applicants, and I spoke also with arborists and people in the industry. Spoke to folks from Bartlett. I spoke to folks from Jackson Dodds. We heard from Bill Miller and Associates, who came here to talk about various suggestions. And all I will say is we have sort of put together a whole host of notes that we hope to try to address throughout this hearing to basically outline ways that we can change this legislation in a way that provides some flexibility. We heard that, a constant refrain that this was restrictive. We also heard a constant refrain that this is going to burden the department. So we looked at this pretty intently. Tom, myself, Janice Shearer, Seth Race, we had Sean Cambridge working with us, and we also had Ryan Murphy working with us on this. And Supervisor Moore joined us in a meeting yesterday to review some of these things. And we think that this should provide more flexibility for applicants, first and foremost, while retaining the nature of the law, the purpose of the law, which is to, of course, provide some regulatory structure, permitting structure for areas outside of APOD. And secondly, clarifies a lot of the exemptions, clarifies some of the processes and procedures, which many folks said that it was vague. Part of the reason why it was vague, and I just want to mention this for the public record, and then I'll give it over to you, Janice, but part of the reason why we left some things vague was because every applicant's going to have something different. And we wanted some flexibility in the administrative process to allow for resolutions to various applications that might be more daunting and challenging and more complex than others. And by the way, that's a feature in a lot of our laws that we pass. There's some ambiguity that's left intentionally to provide for that space for the administrative process to either accommodate or be a little bit more scrutinous of certain matters. But basically speaking, I think that this is a nice. What we have, what we'll talk about, is a nice reorganization of what we think is important to clarify and adjust. So, Janice.
Sure. So we have several copies here, and I'm just going to kind of go through the code, the red line of it, and just hit on the major points. I don't want to belabor it, but just so that it is entered into the record, it's designated as redlined. And then what happens, just for everyone's edification, these changes can be discussed, talked about. You can make a decision if you want to keep the record open, to have more commentary on it, and then a clean version has to be placed upon your desk 10 days prior to adoption. So that's how the process works. So we'll talk about what you want to do at the end of the hearing as far as keeping it open or closing with comments.
So before you begin, I got this copy literally 20 minutes ago, so I'm going to stop you through the process and ask my questions on each of the revisions, because if we're not having a work session on this, I would like to have a discussion. So, I guess the public hearing
I'm here to answer your questions, and you all are here to debate
So
the
the
merits,
public hearing
right?
the public hearing is basically turning into a work session.
That's not.
There's major changes in this, and you can go through, but I'm just letting you know, I'm going to stop you at times and ask you to explain some of the revisions.
Here at your pleasure. So the legislating intent and the biggest changes are these, that where it was that, we said changes to topography, and that was what changes. So we see our topographic contours at 2-foot intervals. And so anything beyond those changes, 2 feet, would require someone to let us know what they're doing, because that means that you can significantly have a different drainage pattern. So we put a number to that. The other big change was that early on, we were talking about properties that are 20,000 square feet or larger. Well, we're saying that now, it was a little unclear, and more than now, instead of 800 square feet, because we came to that 800 number because that was maybe the size of a 20 by 40 pool, and that became a point of like, well, is that enough? Then what about the patio or whatever? So we said, you know what? Let's look at like the average building envelope size, which is 2,000 square feet, give or take. It does get bigger as you have a bigger lot, but that seems a reasonable accommodation to allow for these small accessory. There was talk of a playground or a pool or a patio or a deck, this 2,000 square feet exemption. So you're not coming in for a permit until you are beyond that threshold. So before that, it's just the same as it ever was. You make your applications and you do your land clearing, but as you go 2,000 square feet or more, that's permit territory. So everything lower than that is exempt.
And part of that, by the way, stemmed from the concern that was brought up throughout the previous public hearing meeting, as well as comments from the public and potential applicants, is that they fear that there would be a backlog of applications that would come to your office. And we looked at, doubling 800 would essentially equal 1,600 square feet, which would be the average size of, or give or take, around of a house. But 2,000 would be a much more flexible number to trigger what would be an application for your office.
And consistent with other towns too. So that made sense.
So I have a question on that.
Sure.
So it's no longer in aggregate, it's in any one area? So how much distance do you need between those areas of clearing?
What do you mean by that?
So if I clear 1,199 square feet here, how much distance do I need to the next area of under 2,000 square feet of clearing before I trigger that need for a permit?
It's triggered at that point because the clearing, it's not the distance to other clearing, it's the total clearing.
But
If you have
it's in any
1,000
one area. So which area? So if I want to clear 2,000 square feet in the backyard and 2,000 square feet in the front yard,
That is
I don't need permits? If it's under 2,000 square feet. I'm just asking a question.
I would think that equals
because
4,000 or just
It
over
was,
2,000.
it was 800 square feet in aggregate for the property. Now it's 2,000, under 2,000 square feet in any one area. So it doesn't say how much distance you need between those areas. So I'm asking you these questions because these are the loopholes and these are the things that people are gonna come at you with. And if we don't have answers for them, we don't have answers for them. I mean, can I clear?
But number 2 of applicability says land disturbance of an area or some total of areas greater than. So wouldn't that capture that?
Yeah. Even if it's in separate areas of your
If
property.
you look at 69.6A,
Well, A1
Two.
mentions lot, so I think is it
it
per
says
lot?
any one area greater than 2,000 square feet on these properties, and then any area of unforested, and then 2, so maybe the same language of an area or some total of areas greater than. I think that should be the same language in 1 as 2. Some total of areas. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So this is how we debate and.
This is usually a work
Perfect.
session. That's why
A
it's
work
usually not a
session.
public hearing.
Great. I'm just trying to tell you what the changes were, and you all can
But
decide.
just so, we did do this with the Hampton Bays pattern book where there were concerns as we drafted the public hearing. The document, the community came to those public hearings with concerns. Supervisor Moore and others sat with Janice, and those changes were thought of, noted, and during the next public hearing process, those issues were noted down in the legislation. Is that how that process went,
Yeah,
Supervisor?
that's my recollection.
Okay, so it would then, 1 would address your concern by adding land disturbance of any one area or some total of areas greater than. That would be for residential, as it states already for commercial, so that was an oversight on our part, but that's a good catch.
I still don't understand if you have an area that's already cleared on your property. Like, what triggers is it 2,000 after this gets passed? How do you capture what the clearing, because the reason I'm asking these questions is because in APOD you have clearing, you very clear clearing standards and clearing restrictions. And you can go and you can get a survey done, and you can show what the existing clearing is, and then you can show what you plan to do and whether or not that meets your requirements. My greatest issue with this is people still don't know, based on this code, what they're asking you for is even gonna be approved, because you can meet all of the setback requirements and things and this was my biggest question to you, and I didn't really get a good answer. I asked you at the last public hearing, like, are people gonna use this code to basically deny uses that would otherwise meet the setbacks on a property that doesn't have clearing restrictions? And I didn't really get a clear answer. And then people came to that public hearing, and they very clearly asked about having this in support of denying a solar code, and they specifically mentioned a solar project. And so I came back and I asked again, and now I see solar is an exemption in the code. So why would you exempt one use on a property on this code if this isn't going to be used to deny uses on properties?
So I'll just say the solar provision in there, the exemption for solar, came in after we consulted with Carl Benacasa, who provided various suggestions to us of what to include in those exemptions.
Right, so just to wind back to the beginning of the legislative intent, the purpose of the law is to protect the town by managing how forest trees and natural areas are altered to serve the built environment. And I think that's the critical point here, because no one's saying you can't necessarily do that, do certain things, but what we're seeing is, I'm gonna clear out 30,000 square feet for a 900 square foot pool house. We're trying to say, well, you would ask for a site disturbance permit for the thing you're doing, not to just clear the lot for no reason, and the reason of, well, I'm putting in this structure would make sense, and of course, you can do that, as long provided the structure meets the setbacks, et cetera, so your site disturbance. But what's happening is, people are acquiring lots, clearing them to the four corners, and prepping them, as we said previously, and selling them like, to build on, and that is altering the character of these areas. So it sort of is, the site disturbance is meant to go with the building permit and precede it, instead of doing it while you're waiting for a building permit, and then it's indiscriminate, and no one know, and you're clearing out the whole lot. So that's my understanding of the basic purpose and parameters. So the fact that if you have whatever you're doing, I mean, we couldn't, a tennis court, you're doing a pool house, you're putting in a pool, you're doing this, that, and the other thing, you're in your building envelope. But so then, and this is kind of creating a situation where people are now cognizant of the fact that you're only clearing for what you're building, not necessarily indiscriminately clearing your entire property for no valid purpose, right? If there was a valid purpose, we would issue you a permit.
So I went through, because there was a mention last time at the last public hearing of the applications that came in for site disturbance. And I apologize for taking everybody's time on this. I just have questions that I would like to answer because significant legislation. So there was a mention of, I think it was 42 site plan applications that came in for re-veg because they had over-cleared. So I went through and I looked at, Seth was kind enough to provide me with the addresses where they went through for revegetation. And I actually went through and said, okay, why did they re-veg? Why did they come in? And none of them were caught because we caught them because they over-cleared. 98% of them were caught because they were coming in for an application to build something on their property. And there were instances where they built the house, they got their C of O, they over-cleared after they got their C of O. Then 3 years later, they came in for a pool. They had to go through site plan, they had to revegetate, they revegetated, got their CO for the pool, cleared out the revegetation, then 4 years later came in for an addition to their house, had to revegetate again. So we have areas that have very strict clearing restrictions that people are just flouting willy-nilly. So to think that they're gonna come in for a permit when they're clearly clearing outside of the permitting process. So why would you come in for a permit for something that you know you're not allowed to do?
but there
You're
is-
literally ripping out revegetation on a property.
But there is no permitting process for APOD.
That's right.
Right.
APOD is just a percent standard. So if you meet the percent standard and you're maintained to comply with that percent standard, and, you know, that's an outlier. If someone has the means to revegetate, rip it all out, revegetate, rip it all, I mean, that's not the common practice of the everyday person.
also
I
had
mean,
the
trees
people
are pretty
that were-
expensive, so I don't
We
think.
also had the people that over-cleared on a new construction was because if you look at their site plan, right, and you look at their actual survey with the building on it, the clearing limitations in APOD wouldn't allow them enough clearing to build a house, right? It allowed them enough clearing for the house, but
Which is-
not for building. So they had no choice but to go outside of their clearing limitations to build the house, and then had to come in to re-veg those areas where they over-cleared to build the house.
Or the choice would be to build a smaller house that fit into the percent
people aren't
areas.
doing that.
But see, that's why you guys didn't want to continue the percentages again and continue this APOD or expand it, was my understanding. Because the most logical original thing was just expand APOD. But there's so many issues like you're talking about with those very strict percentages that this doesn't have that. This is just, you can't commence clearing activities without a permit and have a clearly displayed permit on your property in order to commence those activities. That's the sum total of what we're doing here, is really about noticing that you're doing it, having people look at it to make sure you're not having, you know, changing the grades so significantly that, you know, someone is now below your house, or drainage is causing an issue, which it has, even though you are required to have all your drainage contained on site. That doesn't mean that there's never any drainage problems when you alter these natural patterns. That does happen.
So the answer is yes, you can be denied an otherwise permitted use without, for the clearing restrictions.
There's not clearing restrictions. So the point is, let's say, my example, I come in and I say I want a 900 square foot pool house. And my site disturbance plan is to clear 30,000 square feet. We would probably say, why don't you just clear what you need right now and come back for the rest later? Or they'd say, well, I really want a lawn over here or whatever. And we would then come to some kind of, resolution.
Even though they have no clearing restrictions on their property, we can now
You are
limit what
putting
they're
in
clearing for.
not necessarily restrictions, you're tying your site disturbance activities to the built environment. So you're not just necessarily able to just clear the four corners of your lot for no purpose, other than you just want to. There has to be a stated purpose, which is my understanding of what we set out to do here, which was to tie it to, and maybe that doesn't solve the problem altogether, but it does delay indiscriminate clearing until you need it for whatever the purpose is. But what we're seeing is just 100% clearing, and that was the public nuisance and the public issue.
Because it's not that every application's going to be denied, it's that you're you're approving what's going to be done now, what's asked for now, not, I'm going to
Well, it
clear
has to
the
be
whole
tied to
thing.
like, what is the purpose of this? If you were to say, well, I'm harvesting these trees, I mean, that is still a purpose. But you're not necessarily, why are you clearing 30,000 square feet for a 900 square foot built structure? We're not going to deny the structure, we're going to give you the site disturbance for that structure. That's the point.
And is it fair to say that in circumstances where that does happen, the applicant, you make the applicant realize through the process, whether it's administrative or through the planning board, and Tom, you've spoken to this, that they've overcleared, even though they didn't need to overclear, so there is that natural buffering or vegetation that has to be remediated in order to solve for various flooding issues, soil erosion, et cetera. And that's often where applicants find themselves spending the most money, having to do those activities.
Right.
And this law, we are getting to what you should be doing at the outset, so the applicant isn't spending money during the latter end of the process, having to figure out a re-veg plan and spending a lot more time and a lot more money, which creates a lot of those backlogs in the system.
Right, and many people said that, like, the things that are put back in are not of the quality that were taken out, right? You had a small little ecosystem perhaps, and now you've got lawn and arborvitae's, and that's it. And so, like, what's the loss there? So, we're not saying no one's gonna be able to do anything anymore. I mean, it's just a matter of having some oversight and tying what you're doing with the built environment, and not as an afterthought, but as a forethought.
And another permit.
And another permit, but it's all coordinated. I mean, people said that about the cultural resource thing too.
Could
and we
you
are-
skip to that actually, because that was a really big issue that was brought up, is the permitting process. Could you speak to how that would work? Because one of the things that we looked at here is really making sure that it ran concurrently. Can you explain how that process, what it would look like?
So we do this now with several different activities. If somebody is building a house in the coastal erosion hazard area, they get two permits. They get a building permit, but they also get a coastal permit. And so those things run concurrently. It's the same idea. So the building department receives a permit, and they also apply for this coastal permit. So in this way, it would be a site disturbance permit. The building permit isn't issued until the coastal permit is issued, because a lot of times people are in the wrong area. Let's just put it like there's a coastal hazard erosion area line, and you can't be beyond that line, whatever. And so we look at that and say, wait a minute, no, you can't, whatever. And so why would we issue a building permit until we know that you're in the right spot and everything is good with the coastal laws? Then we issue the permit. So similarly here, you submit for a building permit, you also submit for a site disturbance permit. We take a look at that, make sure it's good, give it back to the building department, and they issue the permit. And we do this now with also cultural resource overlay.
Right.
We do that as well.
I was looking at 69.8. Now, is that where you're referencing, and does that make it clear that the permits are going to be viewed concurrently?
Well, that you may not be submitting for a building. This is our biggest loophole. You go clear and you're not even asking for a building permit. And we have nothing to say because there's no requirement for the site disturbance permit. So this is why people are, upset, because people go and clear and there was never a permit request for the building department.
Right.
So this is a separate permit that we can review that says nothing shall preclude them happening concurrently. Nothing stops anyone from submitting them at the same time. But what if you just want to clear because it's December and it's the bat window and you're able to clear at this point in time and you want to submit the site disturbance, but you can't get your building permit yet? Now we've made it so that you can do that. So that's a good thing. So it's separate, but it's together.
I just asked
one or
that
the other.
question because there's literally a resolution in this agenda to continue the services of a plans examiner for a backlog of permits in the building department. So I would like to see this done in the current process without adding another permit. And I know it's happening concurrently, but it's a separate review. It's a
So on that, would there be able to be some kind of process where if you're going in for your building department permit, the land disturbance approval is through some sort of form that is, processed by the building department?
Part of the building permit itself.
Correct, that it's sort of a
It's going to
check.
be through planning because of the fact that they are ministerial and they're not doing that. They're looking at building code and structural
It couldn't be
permits.
referred to land management?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. So as the administrator, I figure out like how this is going to work, and it's going to go from the way we do it now, which everybody is already accustomed to, which we get a permit application. It could be, we also have this with landmarks. Like we have many instances where you need a separate approval and then it comes back. The thing with the plans examiner is already been approved, but they made a mistake on the contract, and so they have to say that it's retroactive. We already had that resolution happen.
I'm just saying, I
from
hired.
several months ago.
But he's been there for 3 years handling a backlog of permits. So to add another permit.
Right.
When we're still dealing with the backlog of permits just seems kind of counterintuitive.
I wish that we had changed the language on the resolution, because the resolution is really just about being able to pay him with their contract. So it's already been passed, just so you know. The backlog, we are always at a busy season right now. But They're really working hard to try to get it out. Planning also, we're, I plan to have, some part-time help to at least initially get this off the ground, make sure that it's running smoothly, and then we'll know what we need.
And once you get online, your new program,
When we are
been working on it for a few years now, right, Cindy?
unnecessarily delayed to initiate our digital permit software, but at some point when it's all sorted out with IT, that will make everything so much easier. So you could be able to just submit it online and we can review it and you can get your permit
And-
digitally.
In my conversations with the chief building inspector, he did, take a look at this before the edits, and he, I did summarize with him what the edits would look like, at some point. And he thought that would be good. He thinks that this, this law would provide some synergy between the departments, because clearly there are issues. But I do also know that you're making efforts to try to make the process much more smooth, and you have staff, you're very confident in your staff as this process launches. And that's one of the reasons why we made the changes that we did to the threshold from 800 to possibly 2,000, because we think that change will provide more flexibility with your staff. And, the criticism that was waged at you was that, well, how can you handle this if the threshold is at 800 square feet? Those could be potentially a lot of applications. Well, now we've whittled that down significantly with this change. And, I've heard from some of the environmental advocates who are not very thrilled with the fact that we've made that change. But this is a democracy, and we have to make changes that reflect what the community has brought to our attention. And I think also, I think at the end of this, the environmental community recognizes that this is also a good starting point, where it might not be exactly where everybody wants it, but it's sort of halfway. Everybody gives a little bit on both sides, and we'll see how it goes. And that's the beautiful thing about local policy and legislating, is that just like with any other legislation that we put through, we could check back in 6 months and see how things are going. You could give us an update and let us know, how are things moving through the department? Do we have to make adjustments? Should this be more flexible? Should this be more restrictive? And that's also dependent upon the prerogative of the board, the policy prerogatives of this board. So I think, we shouldn't pigeonhole ourselves down to saying it should be this way, this section should absolutely be this. I think we are having those conversations. We're listening to everybody, and I think that what we're talking about now is finding ways to actually ensure that both sides are meeting halfway.
Absolutely. And we're just trying to make it work for everyone. We understand that people are trying to get things done. They want to get their permits. They want to be able to do things. And that's certainly, we try really hard to accommodate people to do the things they want to do, but also we are in a place that's very special and important. And to, demolish that is also a nuisance and a problem for the people who are here. So it's that balancing act is important.
And I've also heard from, a lot of folks in the business community in particular that have said that they understand why we're doing this. They specifically said they know that there is a lack of trust within the public. They want there to be more trust in how our processes and procedures flow. They recognize that there are a lot of concerns about development and how it's done. But there's a lot of good developers. There are a lot of good business folks out there that do the right thing, that come to you, Janice, and that work with you in a way that understand the laws, that do respect the environment. And they recognize that something like this is common sense, and this is a way to help mitigate some of the concerns broadly that the public might have.
So why don't we just, kind of summarize what the changes are?
So,
that we
I don't
can
want to
hear
take
from
up,
the
belabor
public.
too much more. There's very simple changes. We did to mention your exemptions. There was just some ambiguity about, there was clearing related to emergency septic installations. We took out emergency, so clearing related to septic installations.
Where are you?
I'm sorry.
Section.
Exempt activity.
Kind of covered the 2,000 square feet, the 2-foot contours. We said we were going to add, or some total of areas. I'm now at 69.6 exempt activities.
Okay.
cleaned up some of the language about the removal of hazardous dead, dying trees. Just the, who's doing work for a public utility, we added or a contractor, because oftentimes those public utilities have other people doing their work. Number 4, so B4, is clearing related, and we cross out emergency septic system, although that is a legitimate thing. It's just any, IA. We don't want to hold people up from getting those new IA systems in, so that would be great. And most likely, that's way less than 2,000 square feet anyway, so they would already be exempt, but just to be clear about it. The clearing of vegetation within 20 feet of a business or house, ordinary and customary maintenance. This-
That was the fire standard. We have testimony that the NFPA standard is like 30 feet.
So
So if we
originally-
could make it the standard.
I think that the 2,000 would cover the perimeter of a house, but if you were going beyond the 20, you would put in an application, you would say, I'm meeting the standard, and you would get the site disturbance permit,
But
right? So
if it's the standard, if 30
this
feet
is
is the
exempt,
standard.
this isn't the standard,
Yeah,
this
but-
is an exemption standard, meaning you don't come in if it's within 20.
But if you're saying you're going to give them the permit because it's 30, why would you even make them apply for the permit?
Because that's how you get information and data and knowing what people are doing, by requiring permits. I mean, we know we're gonna give you a permit for a house, but we still look at how
What I'm
it's being
saying
done.
is if you're saying that you're going to give somebody an exemption for the standard, which is 30 feet, why not make the standard under the minimum needed for?
I don't even think you need this exemption, in all honesty, because I think that it's covered in the 2,000 square feet. Like, the perimeter of your house is most likely
Jim, what do you
less.
Well, I don't want to speak for Ryan, but I think in our conversation yesterday, there was a mention that it was, standard was between 10 and 30. It wasn't specific, so that's why we settled on a 20.
20.
Yeah, but we can check back with Ryan, we're not going to vote on this today.
Yeah.
Number 6 that we added was given to us by the gentleman from the tree company, related to removal of limbs, corrective pruning for structural integrity, clearance from structures or utilities, aesthetic shaping, and we added in, as long as those actions don't result in removing, like creating these topping, ring barking, girdling, or other detrimental actions that actually end up killing a tree. Clearing of ag reserve areas, we added removal of prohibited and regulated plant invasive species, because those things are different than just, there was a concern that it was too broad. We added, I think we had this at the last meeting, but the, activities taking place pursuant to a valid permit through the trustees. We did add solar installations on less than 10 acres, and the reason why is less than 10 is a type 2 action. More than 10 is a a type 1 action, but we also said pursuant to a valid site plan approval.
So what does that mean? So explain that.
A type 2 action means no further environmental review, but you still need a planning board. So if you said, oh, I can put this solar here, see my site plan approval, and it's less than 10 acres, you're exempt from coming in for, because we did that review at the planning board level. That will happen in the site plan.
So so it's still pursuant to a valid site plan by the planning board. So that's an important,
So if you said, look, here's my valid site plan approval for my property, and it's less than 10 acres, and I did all the things that the solar code required me to, and the planning board already reviewed all the site disturbance associated, you're exempt from this. You don't have to apply.
Any commercial installation install is going to be subject to it.
We have to have valid site plan
So
approval.
why wouldn't you make anything that's already subject to a site plan exempt from this?
Because then you have the issue of these commercial entities are not coming for a site plan approval, and they're clearing first. This stops that practice. What's happening is that people are clearing their site, and then coming in for a site plan approval.
Right, but why
So
just one
tolling
type
that.
of,
We put solar because that was what was asked from the people that looked at this on behalf of.
it was a
the
recommendation by some of the
sponsor.
folks
Yeah,
that.
But it's up to
had
you what you want
concerns.
in here or not in here.
Yeah.
An establishment of ag uses on
I-
less than
I
10
ju-
acres.
you said something that, like type 2 actions that are already subject to
Those are-
site plan review would be exempt? Why just one type of?
I think also because of solar is one of those competing environmental uses, right? There's positive environmental uses towards solar, and then there is that debate, and other municipalities have had this debate also, about do you clear woods to put in solar, and where is the balance between the benefit of having solar and clearing natural vegetation? I know Brookhaven has had these issues with some sites down in Mastic. The properties at the Shoreham Liper plant, there was a big discussions about, there was plans to put solar in, over there in that area. I think they were talking about clearing hundreds of acres of land for a solar project there, and so there's always that debate between what's the best
So
position.
maybe, I mean.
If you want to add, I'm sorry, let me just get this thought out. If you want to add a number 13 and say commercial applications less than 4,000 square feet that are type 2 action, that's fine, but you need a companion code in the site plan side.
So if everybody's
to
okay with
say
it,
that.
I will be putting forward that code amendment to say that you can't clear without a valid site plan approval, instead of saying it has to go in for a permit.
The way it reads is a little wonky. It says right now, while you're under review, you're not to
So let's-
disturb the site.
So let's change that.
Right, so we need that to say, you can't disturb the site unless you have a valid approval, and then this could say, well, you don't have to do site disturb. But there's a lot of times that people just want to clear and prep a site with no purpose. And this would
can
stop
we-
them from doing that practice, versus if you exempt them, then that will still continue, and I just want you to know
But I do want to,
happening.
but I do want to change that code, and I'm happy to put it forward, that they can't without, not while it's in review, they have to have an approved site plan before they can clear.
That
That's-
says that now, it says while it's under review, so the way around that is to just not
But that's what I'm saying, I want to change it so that it can't, so it doesn't say while under review, it says with a
No
valid site
commercial
plan.
clearing until a site
No
plan.
clearing until you have your building permit.
Right. Oh, no, site plan approval.
Site
'cause
plan
it's-
approval.
Yeah.
Oh, both, really? Why not building permit?
Could we strike 11 right now?
Yeah. You want it off.
Yeah, because it just creates too much of a consternation.
Okay.
So,
solar.
solar
We're
installations,
putting it back now.
strike, yeah, we're striking it right now.
Okay, then we just keep going, and there's just a lot of just minor, application requirements, just minor.
Oh, Janice, I just I realized that the definition section, you've got significant tree versus, in the code itself, it talks about tree of significance, so it should be one or the other, I mean. I
Thank
don't
you.
know which
Yes,
one.
we'll fix that.
All right.
For sure. Okay. And I guess I just want to move right along. You could see that most of this is just stylistic. One of the big things that was asked, I'm on now page 7, under application requirements, that, the applications shall include an accurate depiction of the site. So there was concern that, like, now it's gonna be all this money, and I have to have a survey and all these things. So if you're able to give us like an aerial or some kind of accurate representation of your sites showing us what you're doing, that will suffice. And then if you're going to the planning board, of course, you need a plan. Planning board always requires something more, a little more formal, and that's only if you're clearing in excess of 50%. But we did expand who can submit those plans. It could be a registered landscape architect, certified arborist, or a landscape design professional.
So I have a question about this, and it's the 50%. Is it you're clearing you're clearing 50% in one shot, or you've cleared 45% and you're clearing another 5%, then it triggers the whole thing? It's only if you're clearing
50%
50%
of whatever
in one shot.
vegetation is there, yeah.
Okay, so
Existing
whatever's
vegetation.
there currently is there. If it's already 50% cleared and you're clearing a little bit more, it doesn't,
That's like almost off the table, that's exempt, right? I'm saying this right? That's like out. If you were, say you've been there since 1962 and this area has always been cleared, and I got these woods over here, and I want to clear more than half of that, that's when you go to the planning board.
so
It
not
has
for the
nothing
whole
to do
site.
with Yeah, no.
So can you make sure that the word existing is,
Requests for land disturbance in excess of 50% of
Of
the
the
natural
existing?
vegetation on any given site.
Of the
That's what it
existing?
of
says.
existing, can we add existing to that,
Sure.
right?
Yep. And then, as I mentioned on the bottom of page 7, we clarified the 2 feet contour review and the floodplain.
I have a question about the trees of significance. So it's not clear to me, and maybe you can clarify this. They're not listed in the applicability section. It refers only to property size and clearing limits, right, in the applicability. So it doesn't list individual trees. So in this 6911A2, when it talks about trees of significance, shall be preserved and protected to the fullest extent possible. So does that mean that if I have a tree of significance, meaning the diameter is greater than 18 inches, do I need to get a permit or not? I just don't see how that's falling into the language right now. And I think people are concerned about that.
Can you tell me what page you're on?
Well, I was just looking at page 7, trees of
7.
significance will be preserved and protected. That's the only place in the code where it's referenced. So it makes it seem as though you don't really need to come in for a permit if you wanted to clear trees of significance on your
In
property.
other words, in the area you're clearing, that's greater than 2,000 square feet. If you have some huge tree somewhere in there, and we would say, let's preserve this tree. Let's not, maybe you could not clear that tree. Let's protect that tree. If that tree's in the middle of your building envelope and that's the only place I mean, obviously, it is what it is. But the idea is that we're trying to guide development in a way that offsets its impact to natural vegetation and habitat, and a tree has been here for 100 years, and you come along and you're just gonna, cut it down because whatever, it isn't even impeding your structure, then that is what we're talking about. Versus,
But if you want to just take one tree down and it's not dead.
this law is only for a significant area, 2,000 square feet or more. If you have one significant tree and you take it down, I mean, technically, it's your tree. It's your property. You can do that. We're saying in this aggregate area, if you have a significant tree, we're gonna try to steer you away from that, clearing it.
And that's the point I made at the last public hearing, where if you are following the rules and you want to do the right thing, you're going to do the right thing. If you are not wanting to follow the rules, and you know that a tree of significance, there's a 100-year-old tree that will probably not let you build what you want to build where you want to build it, you're probably going to remove that tree before you come in for the land disturbance permit, because you don't need a permit to remove the tree.
Right, and that comes down to,
People that flout the
we're
rules.
trying to start somewhere. So here, we're starting in the aggregate of 2,000. If we're starting to get into like one tree somewhere in your backyard, that's a little harder to regulate, right? So we're trying to, so this was all thought of, like, are we doing one tree? Are we doing multiple? When this code is a site disturbance code of greater than 2,000 square feet.
This is, the trees of significance is part of your factors of consideration.
Yes.
When you're looking at a
And if you're- so if
collection.
you're in this whole
Hold on,
area-
let me articulate this so that.
Sure,
so-
please.
And then please demonstrate. The goal is when you're looking at a threshold that is beyond the 2,000 square feet that is proposed in the legislation, trees of significance are a consideration, a criteria in which you will look at on whether or not that is the appropriate placement of what you're seeking to build.
Yes, exactly. So if, say this wasn't here and I wanted to put it here, but there was this big old tree here and it could just as easily go there, we would probably say, why can't you put it there? And the person would say, they probably can. If there was some reason, no, I can't put it there because this guy doesn't want it there, whatever, it can't be there, we have to, now we're getting into like some data about how many significant trees did we lose in a year. We don't know until we know. So it's hard to say. And then you really start to understand how you're changing the environment the more information you have. So the only other thing is that, just you'll see that it's land management administrator or designee. Obviously, I'm empowered, and then I designate, the various staff that works on these things. And then we did say, based on some input, that if the application were denied, to your point, it could be in whole or in part. In other words, we might be like, this is concerning to us, this area, but there's no reason why you can't clear the front part to build your house, and then we can work on this. So it gives people, we're not trying to delay. Everybody wants that predictability and consistency, but we are trying to say, if something is concerning, and something is not on any given property, there is still, you can approve in part, hey, you can do this, but let's talk about this. So it gives it a little more reasonable time frame for someone to say, well, I don't like what you're telling me, that I can't do that, and I want to apply to the planning board or something along those lines. So that's still an option. And that's really, I just want to get to the public, any other thing just was about the notification. So the biggest thing really about all of this is the notification procedures, and that is that somebody wants to drive by and be like, are they allowed to do this? I can't tell you how many people call us and say, are they allowed to clear every tree off this property? Are they allowed? Are they allowed? You would know if they were allowed because there's a permit posted on the property. And if there's not a permit posted, then chances are they're not allowed. So unless it's more than, less than 2,000 square feet. So this just gives it like, where the permit should be placed, that you should put up the permit at least 24 hours before you start to take down trees, and it should stay up until you're done with the project.
The only other comment that I had, I'll be brief, is that the 20,000 square foot lot and to build a house, most of those people to build a modest house, and most people are not building modest houses these days, but even to build a modest house with an accessory structure, a garage, pool, you're gonna need to clear more than 50% of your lot. And so you're now gonna put all of those applications before the planning board, and it's gonna add up the cost, because now they're gonna need landscape plans and everything else that they wouldn't necessarily need.
Well, if they're coming in for a new house, they probably have those plans.
Landscape plans?
I mean, new houses with landscape plans go to the ARB too.
I just don't understand the purpose of the landscape plans.
The landscape,
So she's talking about what you're required to submit. We actually talked about this, right? And one of the things that we discussed, the concern was that you needed like an official landscape architectural review, but one of the things that we added in there was an aerial photo, correct?
right, but that's just the administrative side. When you come to the planning board.
You always need
You will always need like a
Yeah.
2-scale
Right.
plan.
But for
It can
administrative
be
review-
Prepared by a landscape professional, like somebody that does your plantings, et cetera, I can't think of anybody's name right now off the top of my head, but you know what I mean? Like a,
You can only have 50% of your property covered with structures, right? If, otherwise, you
no,
have to go to the
20
planning
It
board.
depends on your coverage requirements in your district,
Generally less than 50.
yes. But your envelope may be right here, and you're clearing all this out, and the question is for what?
No, that this says requests for land disturbance in excess of 50% of the natural vegetation shall include landscape plans. Like, why do you have to provide landscape plans? I get a plan, but to have to require for landscaping plans.
I'm not sure. We can change it if you want to.
Page
I mean,
7.
I think that it's,
Letter E.
when we
I
have
just-
APOD, we're used to that. That's probably why we
I
have it
just-
in there.
Don't know why you would need landscape plans.
Does it say landscape?
Well, actually, that was a recommendation from the arborists, that participated in some of our discussions.
This was in the earlier,
What number
And it
are
was
you
part
on?
of
I'm sorry,
some
I'm
of what
lost.
they had discussed.
E. Okay.
And this is only when you're triggered to go before the planning board.
but you're
Well,
adding, but for,
you can just say, instead of landscape plans, you can say shall include plans, if that is better. Plans. Is stamped by an architect, prepared by a certified arborist, or landscape design professional. So in other words, you have a plan. Like, what are we looking at? If you're at the planning board, you have to have a plan. Like, that is just the point.
but a plan is like, even in APOD, a plan shows your vegetation, right? And it shows your limit of clearing for your project. Landscape plans are actual design plans.
I don't know what a landscape plan is. Sure, I'm saying you can cross out the word landscape.
And just say you need
put
plans.
Yes, that's fine.
That's what she said. Yeah, well, that's fine. If that's,
But if the planning board goes, but you're ripping out all this vegetation, what are you doing there? They may ask somebody to provide that anyway, and that's their prerogative. They always have the ability to ask for additional information if they need it to make a decision.
On the re-veg plans that are submitted to the planning board that used to, look at a lot of them every year, were all of those re-veg plans done by professionals? My memory is that in some cases, smaller re-veg plans were done by the homeowner working with the department.
Most times they're by a professional because most people hire a professional, but we've never turned anyone away if they came with their own plan.
So I know of at least one where the homeowner worked directly with your office to kind of come up with a plan themselves. So again, I'd like
Try to work
to
with
make sure we
everyone
have
to make it
flexibility
easier.
for that too.
Which you were saying, it could be done by landscape divine, with homeowner, the days of draw a square on a paper and submit it for a building permit are kind of over. We need a little more information than those things, but we try to work with people to make it less expensive.
All right, well, thank you, Janice. Don't
Thank
go
you.
anywhere. We just, don't go too far. So let's get some comments from the community. First is Jackie Hilly, and then Craig Chufano. And there's a lot of people that want to speak today, so please try to keep it to the 3
I
minutes.
apologize if you no longer know what you're talking about. because I don't believe you.
My name is Jackie Hilly. I live in Sag Harbor, and I live in Wickatuck Hills. And I really came here today to talk about trees and how the trees impact the aquifer. I applaud everybody in the room, the people who came to talk, and everybody at the table for your hard work on this issue. I know it's very detailed and very difficult, so thank you for keep plugging away. We need to preserve our trees. I just wanted to talk a little bit for the public about the Pine Barrens Act of 1995, which has really wonderfully protected more than 10,000 acres from pollution and has kept our water clean, because I think it's a great model for us to look at when we think about our aquifer protection area. The actual official name of that act is the Long Island Pine Barrens Maritime Reserve Act and the Peconic Bay Regional Watershed Act. I think that trees and water, our aquifer in particular, are intimately related, and that's really the point that I wanted to make today, because all of the drinking water that we have on Long Island come from these aquifers, and the quality of our drinking water really depends on how the land in our community is used and how we protect it. So I applaud our efforts today to protect it. What we do with our woods and our trees is going to have an impact on our drinking water. And the more land that's clear-cut, I have a particular view of clear-cutting as I walk in the Wickatuck Hills every day, because there have been at least 4 or 5 or 6 houses really clear-cut of every single tree on the property in preparation for building, rather than the reverse of looking at the trees first and then thinking about the building. So, with more building, more nitrogen is found in our water. So the way in which we handle all of those things are important. And because we have the Pine Barrens as an example of the way that we should go, the scientists who have studied our groundwater in the densest developments of Long Island have shown that we have the highest levels of nitrogen pollution in the densest areas where most of the trees have been removed, and the lowest levels of pollution in the Pines Barren preservation area, which is really like a great model for us. I'll just say briefly, all the roles that the trees play are so important to our watershed, and they really actually help us manage our aquifers and to keep them clean, because the aquifers are continuous bodies, several
30
continuous
seconds.
bodies that don't know the distinctions that we're placing on the land above them. So what we do here does impact other aquifers, and I just would like to say that trees reduce the groundwater runoff a lot, and our trees out here are just magnificent. So everything we can do to protect them and to make sure we have them to look at in our communities is really important. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you. Craig Tufano. And
Today,
hi.
I'm here to talk about the parking situation on Gravel Hill Road.
Oh,
That's the next public hearing.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
sorry. Okay. I don't know how that got in there.
Sorry. Come back
I'll
in
go-
the next one.
I'll
yeah.
go wait.
What happened? These got. Well, okay. Anyway, all right. Grania Zorneka?
About the property located at 60.
This is number
Oh,
6.
no.
Oh, see, I thought these were.
Nope.
Makes
Somebody,
sense.
somebody numbered it. Sorry,
But and yet this says
That's
7,
seven.
and it's land clearing.
yeah,
so-
okay, so call that person.
All right, Lisa Gallagher. I guess I'll just look at the description.
Lisa Zaccaro Gallagher, 18 Jennifer's Path, West Hampton Beach, New York. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration of this bill. The tree situation in the town of Southampton needs to be addressed. So however this gets resolved, I just want to thank you for your time. And please be aware, and I know you are, the impact of the reasons why people move to Southampton. I just want to share that I lived in Brentwood, New York, and moved to Southampton, Southampton town, really because of the rural character of the area. And we've been living in West Hampton Beach for 30 years, and I invite you to drive through West Hampton Beach. It is populated beyond my dreams of that rural character. So I know this is a tough call, but the trees really are important, and that's part of the reason why you move from the town of Islip to the town of Southampton, for me and my family, and for the people in the community that I live in. We are there for the trees. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Elena Loretto.
How's everybody doing?
I'm very well. It is a beautiful day. I know.
Anyway, thank you. Elena Loretto, I had been the past president of the Noyak Civic Council. Perhaps you know me from there. But I have to congratulate you on tackling the bull by the horns here with this legislation. Yes, a permit is needed for certain land disturbances, which would include soil erosion, flooding, water pollution, and certainly damage to our drinking water. The town, you folks, wisely wants to protect all that we have, and it makes clearing fair for all with legislation, because then everyone will have part of the notification process before doing anything to clear an extensive piece of land. Also, I'm so glad that in this legislation, you have related septic systems to consider, wildfire safety, invasive species, and of course, trees of significance. So you tackle a lot of things here, and I have to really commend you because you're looking at the whole spectrum. Thank you. The ordinance protects our natural resources. It's good because you have something about the size requirements for clearing land. And certainly, Councilman Iacilli has been tackling this long before today. And he advocates looking back at this in 6 months and finding what else we can do to tweak this. So thank you. He has also worked with Hampton Bays, Flanders, Bridgehampton, and now Noyak to get the whole town together on this. It's not just like one little, area over there. Yeah, they want to clear, they want to put a big pool in. No, it's not that at all. But he has contacted civic organizations in these different areas, so please consider that when you meet again in a couple of months to review this. I want to thank you for working on this legislation with Janice. Really, it's worth your efforts, so please don't throw your hands up and say, look, I lost a beautiful day outside because I was inside. No, this is very worthwhile. Thank you for tackling this. Have a good day.
Thank you, Elena.
Elena.
Bob DeLuca.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, members of the Town Board. My name is Bob DeLuca, and I serve as President of Group for the East End. I've testified previously in support of this bill, so I'll be brief. I'm here to testify again in support of this bill because I think, as was discussed earlier, even though there are modifications that have been made, which essentially expand the amount of area which is allowed to be cleared without a permit, overall, it's heading in the right direction. And I think it's just good to recap that, this problem, and it's not just Southampton, This problem exists across the East End, and I see it in all towns, and all towns are wrestling with how to deal with it. The second issue is the local justice courts have taken a light touch to enforcement. So even when you do find violations, because you don't have a permit process, the courts go easy on those violators, which that word gets out pretty quickly. Also, as I come across, the canal and I make my way here on County Road 39, and I'm behind 2 tractor trailers of arbor vitae, and I see coming the other way 2 40-yard dumpsters of native trees. We got to do something about that. Your sustainability committee asked you to look at issues like this to try to sustain our vegetation, to cool things off, to keep our native landscapes intact. This is an effort to do it. I recognize there's some work on the margins here that you're all doing, and I appreciate all of that and that consideration. I don't know how much further you want to go down that track. I think you're probably in shape to close this, take comment, and move on it. If you feel like you need to do more, then do more. But at the end of the day, it's like a death of 1,000 cuts. Somebody mentioned before, the calls that, I think it was Janice, the calls that come in, can they do that? Whenever I hear that call, it's almost always the same thing, which is somebody has cleared a place corner to corner, there is no permit, and nobody knows what to do, and then they show up, and the boards are like, well, it's already cleared, so what are we gonna do? So I just leave you with that. Thank you. Please continue forward. I think it's a good place to start, and I would urge the board to look back, make it 12 months, you pick the time frame. How is it doing? Was the 1,000, 2,000 square feet, whatever it is that too much? Is it not enough? But you can, legislation is iterative. You can change these things, and the public also learns every time you do, because it brings the issue forward. You start to learn what the problems are, you hear from people, you make adjustments, and I think legislation, if more of that was done, we wouldn't run into problems where 20 years later we realize we have something that was broken for a decade and we didn't fix it. So I thank you for your time, Godspeed, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Jesse Matsuka.
Afternoon, Supervisor and Board. Want to speak on support of this bill and also commend everyone in the discussions, because there seems to be some great points that were made. Councilwoman Cindy, you brought up some really good points of poking at this and really showing that, we have an issue here, right? There's some holes that people are taking advantage of. And I think it's a great time to implement a bill to get a starting point, right? And I think talking from a business point of view, as a business owner and operator, I see a lot of things that are happening, and I feel bad for their neighbors that can't really do anything about it. And I definitely see this as kind of a long-standing, long-term effort to be able to control the commerce, and there's going to be people that want to come out and enjoy what we have out here. I think there just needs to be some regulations to ensure that they kind of understand what they're getting into, and we don't kind of ruin the natural habitats that we have out here. I'll make it short because I know there's a lot of other people, but just thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jesse.
Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse.
John Lynch.
Good afternoon, everybody. And again, I echo what everybody else is saying to give kudos to all of you for trying to tackle this subject, because it's something that we all confront. I live in West Hampton Beach. I'm a lawyer. I go to practice here in Southampton. I represent builders, a lot of builders. And a lot of times, I know that it's more profitable just to clear out the lot. And a lot of times I'm on the phone with them, and they said, oh, we just cleared a lot out. I said, you really can't do that yet, but they do. And part of it is the enforcement too, because again, when you're in justice court is busy, and a lot of times they want to move, they want to move them through, and it's not the penalty because it's a cost-benefit analysis. So if it's not going to hurt them, they're going to do it because it's money. It's a cost on that. And I think it's a policy, like a good neighbor policy, because it is when people, if their neighbor starts knocking down all the trees and what people have, why they've moved here and stuff. I'm from Brentwood, but Brentwood's great, But here it's different, and it's part of the quality. My wife brought me out here. I thought she was crazy because I like being closer to the city and stuff. And, maybe not as isolated in some ways, but it's not that isolated anymore, and I've grown to love it and wanting to be there. And part of that good neighbor policy is that you might know that I neighbor property that is wooded, and there is a danger that it might be cleared. So I just had a question. I know there was an exemption that was added. I guess there was late added for this solar, because I didn't see that originally on that. But now that exemption is being removed, is that correct, or is it any danger of that exemption coming back onto the statute?
We will have there were questions during the course of our discussions on that, based on the suggestions that we got from some of the public who have provided input to us. But right now it's stricken, and we'll keep you in the loop on how.
Yeah, that's something, and I saw that the property, being selfish, what I'm concerned about it, the property behind me is more than 10 acres, so that property would not be would not be part of the exemption that's on it. But when I first heard the exemption here, we got a little concerned, because we're in support of that. And
Janice will look into it.
right, and again, we'll be in support of, not just to be on the selfish part, but because it's good for the town and to the village. So I'll try to separate myself from that portion, but sometimes a little part of me is selfish, that, hey, I like to keep the woods where I am and forth, and there's a whole different, I got other issues that I won't bring up, onto that. But otherwise, I want to thank Cindy too for, this, I really appreciate, I think I said it last time, when I was on the TV or something, I appreciate the debate, like, you're just talking out front and doing
30
it in front of the public,
seconds.
And that's always like a James Bond movie, you got that countdown, before it blows up the ship, but thank you, Cindy. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Leila Massey.
Everyone, I'm Leila Massey. I live at 3 Jennifer's Path in Quiog, and I want to thank you so much for bringing this bill to light, and all your hard work and everybody's input for keeping the quality of life on the East End. When I first moved into my house, it was called Quiog Woods Development Project. They weren't allowed to take down all the trees. They had to keep the woods intact, and that's what they did. And it didn't seem to be a problem at all, and the houses were built just fine with keeping most of the trees up, and if they could do it 27 years ago, they can do it now. We love that about the property that we're in. I want to thank you so much for striking that exemption. I don't think it's fair to have exemptions before we're able to discuss what they're all about, and when it directly affects my own property and my neighbors on Jennifer's Path. It's a wooded property. I want to keep it that way, and I would appreciate that you listen to the input of that if you ever think about bringing it back, okay? Thanks so much.
Thank you,
And
Leila.
Leila, we apologize for you not being able to get in through Zoom at the last meeting.
It was my fault.
Well, I'm sorry that you weren't able to.
Mackie Finnerty.
Good evening, or afternoon, Mackie Finnerty. I know that we have a recent designation of being a climate-friendly town. You can't possibly be climate-friendly and allow clear cutting. So this is really a no-brainer. You can't mention that in the same mouth. We have to do this. You had so many complaints, and think all the speakers who've said they get complaints, and anyone who lives around constantly like, what happened in this property? Why is that allowed? Why aren't they doing something? So you know that we need to do it, and we need to do it soon. I think that you were already so generous with this to the point where it is upsetting to me. The half acre is big. It will eliminate huge amounts. I don't know if anybody's looked at that. The amount of people who live in Southampton town who live on less than a half acre, that's a lot of us, a lot. So you've already bent over backwards, way beyond what I would have liked. But I'm really glad for all the effort you've put in to try and get this going, and hopefully we can do more with that in the future. The same thing about the diameter of the trees. That's very generous. That's a big tree. I read that it takes 35 years for a tree to reach its full maturity in terms of cleaning the air and all the other wonderful things trees do. So you're letting them cut, depending on the species, sort of right before it's maxing out cleaning our air. So it's like, again, I would like it to be smaller. And hopefully we can look at these things and the signs of that over the years. And this is nothing new. I worked on this project 10 years ago, and we found that there are villages on Long Island who had had this law for 10 years before that. So we're talking 20 years of villages on Long Island. It's time for us to do this. And I just want to thank all of you for the work on this, and amazing Jenna, what she has done and worked for so many important things for all of us for this town. Thank you very much. I hope this gets passed soon.
Thank you, Mackie. Steve Guthrie?
Hey, Steve Giuffre from East End Contractors Association. I'm just like really unclear with this law, what your like as of right would be allowed percentage of clearing. I know like a lot of the laws like zoning, it specifies what you can and can't use the property for. You know, like lot coverage, all that. APOD has like you can clear a percentage. This law just kind of leaves a lot into interpretation of, I want to buy this lot, can I use it for what I want? We don't know until we go to apply for a permit, I guess. There's no like percentage that's kind of allowed no matter what, or?
Is the lot half an acre?
I'm saying like, let's say this lot's an acre. It's mostly wooded.
Okay.
I want to kind of keep a small house, but I want to have a nice lawn. Like, am I allowed to clear at least half of it?
If it's over 2,000 acres that you're seeking to clear?
2,000 square feet, but there's no.
2,000 square feet, if it's over 2,000 square feet that you're seeking to clear, you will have to get a permit to clear it.
But there's no like.
Under that, you're free to do whatever you want.
But there's no like as of right, like I feel like I should be allowed to at least clear a percentage, right? Like, I mean, if my neighbor's already cleared, they're allowed to use their whole lot, but I may only be able to use a small portion of it depending on, I just feel like there should be like an as of right amount that I can clear on my property to know that I can use at least a percentage of it. Like APOD, it has like, you know, I can look at this lot, like I want to build my family's dream house, so we're going to buy the property. How do I know what I can, like if I can at least have a certain, you know, I just feel like there should be maybe a percentage that's like, you can at least clear a percentage of your lot.
Well, we're saying the threshold is if it's a half an acre or more,
Yeah.
you can clear up to 2,000 square feet. Anything over that, you would have to come before the town land management office.
But I'm just saying, so if I have a 40,000 square foot lot, I can only use 2,000, I can only use like a very small percentage, 2,000 square feet.
do you wanna-
Is there like 50%, like?
So, yeah, is that your only question?
I guess just that, and it would be nice if there was some kind of like, as a contractor, it'd be nice if there was some kind of like, in order of getting the permit, you're actually hiring a licensed contract, like, just like other, if you're building a house, right? You need to have like, here's your licensed plumber that's working there, electrician. It'd be nice if there was that kind of, I'm not against clearing, you know, like there's clearing restrictions or whatever you're putting. I just feel like there should be some sort of a like, you have a, you know, like I know I can at least use a percentage of it. You know, because it just doesn't seem fair, like the lot next door can use 100%.
Okay,
And maybe,
We'll
you know, I
explain,
can't
we'll
use-
explain how the threshold would apply to a 40,000 square foot property, which is your question, so.
Okay.
So, which.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Steve.
thank you, Stephen, for the question. It's worth explaining, so if you want to. You could,
So in this case, is it more than 50%? Or are we talking about an administrative less than 50%? When you say you quote-unquote can't use something, there's a building envelope that you can use. You have 2,000 square feet of that building envelope to use within no oversight. Then, as you go beyond the 2,000 square feet, the question is, what are you doing? When you say I can't use it, what do you mean by that? You always have your property to walk around. Is this tree in the way of something you're trying to accomplish? Then you can remove it. If it's really, it has to do with when you say use it.
So I
And the
guess-
standards that we're looking at are, he says, let's say this property, sorry that we're using 60 Old Country Road, but, or this is 65 Old Riverhead Road, sorry. Here,
so your house is here, your stuff is here, your use is here, and now you have these woods here. And you want to know, can I just clear that for no purpose? And the answer is probably not, because you're not defining a purpose. What is the purpose of the clearing? That's what we want to know. Like, why are you just decimating this area, this habitat? When you have something that you need to put there, then we'll give you a site disturbance plan permit.
So to his point, though, like what I had asked in the work session was, you know, if I bought a lot with no clearing restrictions, I have 5 kids that play lacrosse, and I want to put in a big lawn for them to play on, because I don't want to deal with ticks. We all know you're going to deal with ticks anyway. But I want a big lawn for my kids to play on, so I have to schlep them all to the park. Can I put in a big lawn because I have no clearing restrictions? And your answer was probably not.
No, the answer is probably yes, because that's your purpose. You're putting in an area for a sport area, right?
So what
your
you're
purpose
saying is
to
that
put
people
in
can
a
come in
sport
and say, I
area.
want to put in
But
a
the
giant
question
lawn.
is like, okay, let's say this house wasn't here and this is woodland, and we could say, well, how can you accomplish the sport area that you want without decimating this? That the whole idea is, it's not necessarily that you can't, but maybe we're delaying it to mean what can you do, what you're trying to accomplish.
But can we just simplify the terms? Let's say it is a 40,000 square foot property. He can clear up to, correct me if I'm wrong, he can clear 2,000 square feet without a permit.
Correct.
Okay.
And more with a permit.
Correct.
And the question is, what are the standards for issuance of the permit? The
So
first
nothing
and
is to
foremost
say you
standard is
can't-
it's tied to the built environment.
It doesn't mean you can't put in a house and a garage and a pool house and, you know, a gazebo. You can do all that if you have that, that's what your plan is. But if that doesn't take up the whole property, then you can't clear the rest of it just because, right?
Along those lines, yes. And if you want to, you know, institute percentages, that's a different method.
We looked at
This
that.
is more flexible. It's not
is more
stopping you
flexible.
at
What you
35%.
basically just
or
said
50%.
was you can clear
40,000
for
square
anything
foot
that
property.
you
It's
deem
very clear. You can clear
a use.
2,000 square feet without any permit. You don't have to worry about coming to the town. But if you're aware that you're going to be clearing on that property 2,500 square feet to put whatever you're building there, you're going to know, okay, I need to go to the town and I need to ask for a clearing permit. That's essentially what we're saying.
And you're going to have a building permit anyway.
Right.
But I guess I don't know, should I go back?
We really can't, but.
The idea is that we're looking at the purpose and the cumulative impacts.
You could email
So
me.
it's just sort of what you're saying is, I want to be able to just come in and clear all I want, and why should I even have to ask for a permit because I just want to clear? And the idea is, A, there's a notification so people know that you're clearing. B, there's a tied to a built environment purpose or some valid reason to clear other than I don't like ticks. Because that's what we're seeing. That's what people are doing right now.
Yeah.
Clear to the 4 corners, put our arborvitae wall up, and call it a day. And we're trying to say that these are natural resources that are important as a whole, and
How can
that's
we-
what you're saying. How do you?
But what you
how
also
do you
just said, though,
oversee
is
it?
there is, if you don't, this is what I think people are misunderstanding. People are misunderstanding, they're thinking that this law is placing clearing restrictions on properties that don't have clearing restrictions. It's not doing that. It's just saying you need a reason and a permit.
Correct.
So you need to pay and you need to have a reason. So if you want a giant lawn for your kids, you just need to come in and say, I want a giant lawn for my kids. I need the permit to put in a giant lawn for my kids because I
Well,
have no
also
clearing
have to
restrictions.
look at like, well, is there significant trees in the middle of this giant lawn? Are you
The whole
indiscriminately
point is
clearing
to,
to
the whole
4
point is to
corners?
trigger a review process.
Right.
So, and we don't have to make this more complicated than it is. The gentleman very clearly asked, if I have a 40,000 square foot property, which is not the 20,000 square foot, and I'm looking to clear, what am I allowed to clear? He asked, what are his rights? He is allowed to clear up to 2,000 square feet of whatever he wants to clear in order to build what he wants to build. But if he's going to have a project that requires clearing above that threshold, he has to come to the town for approval. It's very, very simple. And the reason why we don't have percentages, because you mentioned percentages, is because we looked at that previously. But that is very complicated. Each property is going to be different in terms of enforcement, in terms of the review process. Talk about backlogs, being stuck in the planning department, having to go through calculations and percentages. This gives the folks here in the department a clear path forward to say yay or nay on what is coming before them. So it's across the board, very, very simple.
And also,
Not
you'll have
very
more
simple,
data,
though.
so you can start to see how much people are clearing, for what purpose, and then look at that and start to then tailor either further regulations or different, reasons why you're saying, well, wait a minute, this is actually,
But it's still not putting, then we can't make this more clear. This is not placing clearing restrictions outside of APOD. There are still no clearing restrictions in place. So you will have a very hard time when somebody comes to you for a reason to clear. I want a giant lawn for my kids, for you to deny them and for them to go to court on a denial or even to the ZBA and say, I'm outside of APOD. I have no clearing restrictions. I have a reason. It may not be a reason you like, but it's not a reason that you can deny me for because there are no clearing restrictions. So basically, you're telling people you need a permit to clear. And that's all you're saying. And there's no basis, there's no clear basis for denial here that is defensible in, I don't think, any court of law, because you're not placing clearing restrictions on any properties. You're simply saying you need a permit to clear.
we're saying you need a site disturbance to clear, that the purpose is to maintain as much woodland on the property as practical, and to tie it to the purpose of what you're doing, to keep it, like you're not doing a 4,000 square foot garden.
But to the point of the
Janice-
solar, you're
Janice-
not gonna be able to
Janice, can-
deny a permitted use
can I
based
ask-
on based on a clearing permit.
Can I ask you, what percentage approximately of the town does the APOD cover?
Maybe less than half.
Less than half of, so outside of that, if you're not in that coverage area, you carte blanche?
That's at the moment, yes.
Okay.
Now you still have
Thank
carte
you.
blanche, you just need a permit to have carte blanche.
But
Not
also,
necessarily.
you've
We're
got a
looking at
section-
contiguous, open space, we're looking at, the habitat you have, we're looking at your,
That is not
what
the
you're
case
trying
at
to
all.
do.
But they're still not setting clearing restrictions.
But it's based on sort of a qualitative habitat
But to his
assessment, more
point-
so than just rote percentage.
But to his point, when you deny a permitted use on a site that has no clearing restrictions, you're going to get sued because you don't have clearing restrictions.
Well, you have the section that says in excess of 50% clearing of the property has to go to the planning board. That's in section D on page 9.
We should let the rest of the public who has come to
6911D.
speak, we should
Just
let
to
them
make it
speak.
clear, there are no clearing restrictions being
There's
placed on
not
any
a
properties
percentage where you can
outside
go,
of APOD.
oh, this lot, I only can clear 20%.
And that's
That
to
would
his
be
point.
expanding the APOD.
And to his point, now people are buying properties that they would like to use for certain purposes, and now they don't know if those uses will be permitted based on the clearing. And you're saying, no, as long as you have a use that's valid, we're gonna give you the permit.
You're we're gonna look at it, but you're in a building envelope. You're looking to put in a house, let's say. Those things are obviously allowed, and then we're looking at, okay, the first 2,000 square feet is not reviewed, right? And then we're looking at anything over 2,000 square feet. So you're putting in this house. Are you in the building envelope? Are you meeting the setbacks? Are you now, everything is here, you're showing cleared, but then you're just clearing this other area for future development because you'll let us know what that would not be approved. Because that's for future development, it's not tied to anything that you're currently getting a permit for.
But once you get up to 50% of the lot, you have to go to the planning board.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there a list of the uses that would be permitted?
The
Yeah,
uses that are
it's all
permitted are
outlined in
the
the
uses
bill.
that are permitted in your residential district right now.
No, I mean, like, if I want to build like Cindy said, a lawn for lacrosse or whatever, is that something that I would
It's
be
not
able to
permitted.
get a permit for, or?
Yes.
You have to come in with a valid purpose, with a purpose of like what you're doing. And if you say, well, my purpose is that I'm gonna create this lawn for whatever, and it's extensive, we'd have to take a look at it. And that's like a dead zone, you're dealing with pumping more fertilizers and things into the ground and maybe removing a small forest to do that. And the question is that appropriate, size, or are you just trying to flout the law and just say it's a lawn so that you can have future development there?
So, Stephen, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to set a meeting with Janice so you can understand this a little bit better. And
I didn't mean to like create.
not at all. No. It was a very good
No, it's a
question.
very valid point.
Very good question.
Very valid point.
Confusing as like someone that's going to be working on properties and how you can develop.
Send me an email.
Yeah.
Very valid point.
Michelle Thompson.
Hi, my name is Michelle Thompson. I'm at 5 Deborah Drive, West Hampton Beach. And I, similar to people before me, want to thank you for all of your hard work. This is really big and hard. And what it looks like to me is that you are not going to be able to satisfy everybody.
Right.
You have to, I think, make up your mind what is the moral decision here. And in the world that we live in, I would be hard put to say that our morality needs to be focused towards the trees and our environment and the creatures on this earth that need the trees. So I know how hard it is. I hear how hard it is. But there is a moral obligation here, and I beseech you to keep that in your mind as you go forward with this plan. And also, I want to thank you for striking the solar exemption, because a tree is a tree wherever it is, and it shouldn't be, a place shouldn't be exempt just because it's got a name like a solar farm. And so I want to thank you
And I just
very
want to
much.
clarify that it wasn't stricken, that it wasn't actually in the legislation, it was just in our notes of our proposed amendments that we're going to make to this, and we took that out. But just want to clarify that.
Okay, I thank you all very much.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Jean Teggins? Tegens?
Hello, I'm Jeannie Teggins. I'm from West Hampton Beach. I also want to reiterate how appreciative I am of all of the efforts and all of the conversations that are going on around this. It really is such an important issue, and to see firsthand all of the efforts that are going in to get this right, or as best as we can, definitely is something that I appreciate. I will say that I honestly was shocked to hear that there was an amendment, a possible amendment around a solar farm, and I do appreciate that through the discussion that has been stricken for now. My request would be that if it's being considered again to be included, that you go out further than maybe you have into the community to gain some feedback, possibly including people that have spoken here previously at meetings that have been around the solar farm. That is something that I would encourage you to do. And in the meantime, keep doing the great work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jean. Olivia Match? Match. Sorry.
I live in Watermill, longtime resident, as many of you know, and an environmentalist, a gardener, a neighbor. I just want to thank everybody for this effort, this huge effort, and the community too. There's so many experts in this community who care so much about where we live and being a neighbor to each other and really respecting what's happening to the land and the water and the trees. I think we've all witnessed it in our own neighborhoods. But please, I think it's great you've gotten this far. It is obviously going to be going on, work in progress, but thank you for all the efforts, and keep going with it, and let's all work together on this. But thank you.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thanks, Olivia.
And Ray D'Angelo.
All right.
Hey, Ray.
You look really sharp.
Thank you.
I need that application now. I had a letter to the editor, and I just thought I'd read some of it now, but I think this whole conversation, we have to, the overriding thing, like the 800-pound gorilla in the room, is we live on top of our water supply. We have a groundwater supply. It's not a surface water supply. We live on top of it, and trees are very important to that cycle. So I'd just like to read, I hope I get this in 3 minutes. Southampton Town is fortunate to have a landscape defined by its trees, oaks, pines, maples, and the wooded habitats that make our community both beautiful and environmentally resilient. Yet increasingly, these trees are being removed through widespread clear-cutting to make way for large lawns and overdeveloped lots. This trend threatens not only the character of our town, but also the health of our local environment. Trees are among the most valuable natural resources we have. They provide habitat for countless species of wildlife, including birds, pollinators, small mammals, and beneficial insects that depend on the wooded area for food, nesting, and shelter. When old-growth trees are removed, and that's what happens when they do this clear cutting, they take down the old-growth trees. When old-growth trees are removed, entire ecosystems can disappear with them. Beyond supporting wildlife, trees perform essential environmental services. Their root systems stabilize soil and help prevent erosion. This is especially important in coastal communities like ours where land and water are closely connected. Trees are also act as natural water filters, helping rainwater to percolate through the soil while removing pollutants before they reach our groundwater and bays. Equally important, tree cover reduces groundwater evaporation and helps maintain healthy soil moisture. In contrast, the landscapes that often replace them are large manicure lawns. Lawns are among the biggest residential users of water, and they often depend on fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides to maintain them in an unnatural state. You know, when things get warm, like, you know, it's cool in the spring, in the summer, they want to go to seed, but we don't want to let it go to seed, so to keep it like that, we got to throw all these chemicals on it, which go into the groundwater. All these contaminants can run off into our waterways and percolate down to our drinking water. If we care about protecting Southampton's environment, and we all do, and preserving the character of our neighborhoods, we must address the growing practice of clear-cutting properties before development. Responsible stewardship means keeping as many old-growth trees as possible and recognizing the ecological value they provide.
30 seconds.
For these reasons, I strongly support the enactment of the local law proposed by Council Member Mike Iaselli. Mike, thank you very much, to help regulate and prevent unnecessary clear-cutting in our community. Sensible legislation like this can ensure that the development occurs responsibly while preserving the natural landscapes that define Southampton. Protecting our trees means protecting our wildlife, our water, our quality of life that residents value so deeply. I urge town officials and residents alike to support measures like Mike Iaselli's
3 minutes.
that safeguard trees that make Southampton the special place that it is. Thank you very much.
You did it. Thank you.
Yay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Louis D. Pasquale.
Hello, everyone. Louis D. Pasquale at 19 Jennifer's Path in West Hampton. You probably heard from me before on the whole solar thing. Again, my house is adjacent to that, and I was a little concerned when I heard that there was going to be an exemption for the solar farm. So I just want to be a little clear. You pulled it out, but it will still be discussed?
It was a discussion point.
There still will be. Will it be a public?
Well, the changes right now, that will not be part of the changes that we implement in this bill.
That will not be part of it at all? Okay, no matter acreage and?
No, not-
Okay,
not
all
having to
right.
do with
Only
solar.
because what that gentleman just said is so true.
I understand.
Like-
It was a discussion point
I
that we
know,
were considering.
But the clear cut, everybody keeps going with the clear cut, the
Yep.
clear cut, but the soil, you don't understand what's in the soil. It's so important, and it was so good for him to bring it up, because I'm gonna hit on it again with they would have to put minimum 800 pilings into the ground to do that 4,000 square foot solar farm. So clear cutting, North Sea transfer station, perfect place. Look at it. It's perfect where it is over there. It's a dump. It's where it belongs, right? To clear cut for solar, to clear cut, bring it back to what Layla said real quick. I'm in Quaog Woods. Ken Tadali was the builder. He was only allowed to clear 40 feet off of the back of our properties. It all had to stay woods, to the degree that a pine tree, my driveway sweeps to the cul-de-sac, not like going in and out, because there was a pine tree there, so they swept my driveway like wrong. That's the way it was. I don't understand the gables. You go over there and it's clear cut, everything. Now across from the pet store on 31, completely clear cut. What happened in those 27 years where they're just clear cutting everything opposed to leaving some woods? What happened? Did laws change? Did anything change there that I'm unaware of? Or they're just doing it and not worrying about it? And Tadaldi had to put more trees in the circle in the cul-de-sac because they weren't going to sign off on it. Does the town sign off on stuff if people don't obey the laws? So it's things to just, then, thank you all for listening to us, and keep at it.
Thank you, Louis. Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom for the first public hearing?
No hand on Zoom. No one on Zoom.
No one on Zoom?
Exempting.
Nice day.
So what do you want to do? No one's on Zoom?
No one's on Zoom? Okay.
Everyone's outside.
Yeah, I know, I'm enjoying this beautiful day.
So, as the sponsor, we have some changes that we've discussed. And the public has heard those changes, has listened to those changes, has engaged with them. And we will leave, I'd like to leave this open so that, at the very least, people can see and absorb all the changes that have been made to the legislation in its official form. And then we'll have some conversation. I have had some conversation with Councilwoman McNamara and my fellow board members as well of what steps we could take going forward. So right now, we will leave it open for May 12th. I believe, what time is that? That's a
1 o'clock?
meeting. So we'll leave it open until May 12th at 1 o'clock.
Can I just ask that when the changes are finalized, it get posted on the website so that people can see the changes that
Yes,
they're coming to speak
absolutely.
about?
So Janice will work on that right away, and we will get that out for everybody to view.
Michael, you don't want to do it at the end of this month, so Saturday night?
So we're gonna keep it open for we have to either open or close it. So I'm gonna keep it open so that we can make those changes and the public can also see those changes and engage in those changes at the May 12th meeting.
Okay.
And then there's a May 26th meeting that we will determine whether or not
You want to do it sooner? That's what I'm getting at.
sooner. Soon, what do you mean?
You know, do it at the end of this month, and May 12th, we'll wrap it up.
Is there another meeting this month?
Yeah.
Yes.
May 28th,
May 20th.
Or April, no, April.
Yeah, but we're gonna keep it open.
I'm sorry, April 28th.
Yeah, so let's keep it open. It'll go to everybody's desk. It has to, there's a process that it has to
Oh, I'm
follow.
sorry, what date are we still on the 12th?
Janice, we can't hold it open till the April 28th meeting.
Sure you can.
Oh, so
And
let's do
post
that.
the notices, post it on the website and then discuss it again.
Let's do that. Let's do that. April 28th, you said?
Okay.
And that's at what time?
That's 6
6.
PM.
Perfect, that's even better. April 28th at 6 PM. And everybody will be able to view the changes that were discussed today. It will be baked into the legislation.
And still provide comments.
And people will still be able to provide comments. Yeah.
So moved, so need a second to hold it
Second.
over.
I need a second, yeah.
Bill, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone, for taking the time to come on this beautiful day. We appreciate all your comments. Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the second public hearing?
Public hearing number 2 to amend Chapter 312 Vehicles and Traffic, Section 312-20, Hampton Bays, subsection 34.
Let's just hold a minute while people exit the room. All right.
Hi.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom, for coming up.
Problem. All good? Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thomas Houghton, Town Engineer. At the last Town Board meeting, we had a public hearing to discuss changes to Chapter 312, Section 20 of the no parking regulations for Gravel Hill Road in Hampton Bays. We had discussion from residents who lived on that road and in the neighboring area. And then since that last meeting, we also heard from the school principal via Councilwoman McNamara. And we are looking to rehash these requirements to propose 2-hour restrictions on this road, which would require a whole nother noticement since it is a different section of Chapter 312. So it wouldn't necessarily be a straight amendment to this local law, but I think with hearing everything that we've heard from our residents, that a 2-hour restriction would be in everyone's best interest for this particular use case. For those who have service contractors visiting a home, for them to park in the street and put out cones in front of a no parking, technically they're in violation of any type of restriction like that. So this 2-hour parking restriction would allow for contractors, for guests, for parties, for events, for people to visit other people's homes and park on the street. So we would like to, at the next meeting, we'll notice the next public hearing for this, and we would pursue along that track.
Seemed to me that the superintendent, Clemenson, indicated that that's like the minimum revision we should do, because we are going to be just pushing the students from one street to the next, and he had asked for a conversation with the board to brainstorm other ideas. So I know you spoke with him. Is that not what we're going to do to address this? Or are we just going to go ahead and put the 2 hours in?
I feel like put the 2 hours on it, and if that does not work, then we have to come back and do, no parking.
This would-
thing. And also the school has to improve their parking on school. They have a gravel yard there where they can, utilize that more for the kids to park in. So they're not parking in the neighborhood and pushing it from one street to the next street.
I know PD has been doing outreach too, to let kids know that they, there's parking, you can't park by a hydrant, you can't block people's driveways, you can't drive to school with a permit, so they are doing reach out that way. And I think the 2 hours for right now would be a happy medium, because the kids obviously need to park there for longer than 2 hours, but then people that live on the street can still utilize it for if they have guests over. And
I recommend additional outreach in September as well, because I envision a new group of students who are getting their licenses over the summer that are going to probably follow this same path of not being eligible to park at the school, and we'll be trying to park on these side streets as well. It's a kind of ever graduating, group of people, right?
A few tickets will stop it.
I mean, we can certainly look at the 2-hour option. We're getting very close to the end of the school year. So that's another thing to consider as we go forward, because the 2-hour parking solves the one problem, but I'm not sure it solves the problem of kids moving to another street.
Yeah.
So,
It's the question of, is it the town's responsibility to solve the parking for the school district? Is really where we're in this balancing act of.
It's the school district to solve the problem where they're.
Well, but, now residents on another street are going to come in and say, oh, there's too many kids parking on the street, so then we're going to do that for every street around the school.
It's possible.
listen, at the same time, I mean, the schools have policies, right? If they say only seniors can have the privilege of driving to school, that's their policy. We can't force the school to change their policies to alleviate traffic issues in the town. It's kind of like saying, downtown parking is full, so people are parking on side streets. We've had this issue of parking for employees on other areas of the town, so it's not just a school issue, it's an employee issue, it's a parking issue. And I think the 2-hour keeps it open to the residents. I think it, restricts the kids. There are still going to be kids that can still park there because of their, ability to move their cars during the day, and older kids have different periods that they have study halls and other things and they can leave. But I think it will greatly reduce it. And I mean, I saw a video this morning of trying to drive through there, and it's not a safe, it's basically now a one-way street. So I support the 2-hour.
I hope the gentleman that took that video realizes he's breaking the law. Again, my point was just, we're not that far away from the end of the school year, and maybe have to, if we go with this, that will solve, I won't say solve the problem, but that will cover about a month's worth of school.
A couple of weeks.
Or a couple of weeks, so another thing to discuss, whether it's worth it to go forward now or wait and solve it in a more comprehensive way, as I think we're all thinking, between now and September. But
Might as well go forward now. That way they get an idea, and if there's problems where we can change it for the fall.
And to Bill's point too, then if we do the 2-hour parking, we see where the problem goes to.
Yeah.
And see if it's worse or better, or if it dissipates to different areas.
that makes sense.
We don't want to kick the can down the road.
Because the kids are going to be very quick to find other places, we may as well know where those places are going to be.
That's true, too.
At some point, they will tire of walking.
Yeah.
I imagine. So we have the US Open coming this summer. We have a very busy summer ahead of us. So if we can maybe get something on the books now to help these residents out, I think it would be a step towards like ultimately solving this problem.
And I do believe, based on the prior testimony, that May 15th is not sufficient. It has to be the end of June.
Correct, yeah. So we'll be revising that.
Yeah. I have drove by it in the mornings to check it too, to see the cars. There are a lot of cars on the one side.
And people are putting out cones to block access to their own driveways and their mailboxes, so
I can't imagine.
we have to address this.
Yeah, we have to address it, but I think we were originally told that the school was okay with it, and then we got the letter from the superintendent that he wasn't okay with it, and I just thought we were gonna have a more fulsome discussion over it. But if we go ahead now, we can, that doesn't preclude us from discussing it further.
And then hopefully we come up with a more robust plan for September that encompasses all. We can have a sit-down conversation with the superintendent and, you know, come up with a holistic plan.
Okay.
Sounds like we have some cards as well, so maybe we'll hear some
Yes.
feedback from the residents on a potential 2-hour restriction.
Yes, let's hear from the community. Thank you, Tom. So
Thanks,
Craig
Tom.
Tifano, back up.
How are you today?
Very well, thanks.
I have a house on the east side of Gravel Hill, and the parking is ridiculous. It wasn't that bad a couple of years ago. But then, the no parking on Maryland came around.
Right.
And there's not a car on Maryland, it's beautiful. You go down my road, 29 cars this morning.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad. I've got 7 grandkids living there. And, you know, somebody pops out through a car, because, you know, they pop out, it's gonna be tough. You know, somebody could get hurt very easily. So, the 2-hour thing is all well and fine, but with, you're saying contractors, there's no parking on the other side of Gravel Hill. That's a no parking. And the contractors seem to do just fine with, you know, mowing the lawns, getting their stuff in and out. Nobody complains about that. So you're saying 2 hours? Well, some kids may come running out and move 10 feet and, you know,
There's ways around it.
and you get around it. And so let's put no parking. Nobody complained about the landscapers on Maryland, did they? No. You guys made a no parking down that whole street. And it seems to work just fine,
Both sides?
both sides.
I mean, I'm fine with going no parking on both sides,
Yeah.
as long as the neighborhood wants it.
But we did get feedback from neighbors
Yeah.
that want some parking, so.
Yeah.
The one lady who spoke doesn't even live in the neighborhood. She lives like 3 blocks over. And she just complained about where was the landscapers gonna park.
Yeah, well, you know, nobody ever really cares about the landscapers. They come in, they do their thing, they're in and out in a half hour. That's not a big deal. You know, as you saw the video today, it's bad. It is very bad. And you should have seen it with the snow.
I saw it the other week.
yeah.
It was barely a 1-lane road.
The other week I went down there, I forgot it was spring break, and there was no cars.
Nothing, it's beautiful, and you're like, man, this is great. And, you know, as I say, I've owned it for 42 years now. And it's, you just can't have it. I have 7 grandkids that live on that street.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, I have a 2-family there, and both my kids are in there, and I don't want to see somebody get hurt. You know, and that's what it comes down to.
We could always do no parking, then if it doesn't work out, then go 2 hours and change it into 2 hours.
I mean, you could do no parking during school hours.
That's what it is, it's no parking during school hours.
And,
Yeah.
and that would solve everything.
Then it-
Because then during the summer, the parking would be there for the, you know, the residents who want to have parking, and
Tom, could you get back up and read it, how you had it for no parking? If you don't mind, when Greg's done.
Thank you, Craig.
Thanks.
I can tell you, he has between 7:30 and 5, Monday through Friday, from the 15th of
I just
September.
want to get it on the record.
Oh, I'm putting it on the record.
Oh, no.
Town.
It wasn't me this time.
At least it was the town flag and nothing.
Jim's a little out of control down there.
So we were gonna keep the times consistent from 7:30 to 5, but we were gonna extend the time period from, I believe, September 1st to June 30th. So it would cover that period.
Okay, that was one of my questions.
Yep, yeah, May 15th it's a bit short for the school year.
What is, just suggestion, September 1st to June 30th or something? You've got September 15th to May 15th, so you're short a week or two on both ends. But
Yeah, we talked about that at the last hearing.
Yeah, so we're gonna,
4 o'clock is probably late enough to catch the kids with the after-school stuff.
You guys tell me, I mean, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, it's all, school ends around 2-ish typically, usually, so.
Kids coming back for sports and stuff can park in the lot anyway.
At that point, there's no teachers typically, you don't have the regular students there, so there would in theory be more parking on site.
Tom, did you do a site visit?
No, I talked about this after it was already
I know you talked about this at the last hearing, but
yeah.
was there a site visit done?
I've been there in recent years, I haven't been there this week.
Okay.
And it would be, again, just so everybody here, it would be between Argonne Road and Fanning Road. So it's,
Yeah, I think it's Argonne Road East and Fanning.
right,
just extend the time period.
right.
Well, decrease the time period.
Decrease.
Well, increase the days, decrease the hours.
Yeah,
I pointed out the
4, 3.
distance because quite often in the past, you do it 150 feet or 250 feet, and you find that at the end of that regulation, that's where people park again. So this, just wanted to point that out. This would be between Argonne and Fanning, on Gravel Hill between Argonne and Fanning.
Yes, that's
as-
the-
As written, right.
That's the proposal.
Yeah.
Maybe push the kids far enough away where they'll take the bus instead.
Well, that would be good.
That would be good, yes, that would be good.
Thank you, Tom.
I mean, where I live in
So we're leaving it at
Southampton,
no parking?
the school is right across from my house, and the buses, there's so many buses, and there's like 1 or 2 kids on each bus, it's crazy.
They all want to drive.
Yeah,
And I
It's
guess
true.
a lot of those kids that park on Gravel Hill might be juniors, you know, and have their license, and they're not allowed to park in the parking lot.
yeah.
I had
Likely what it
asked, I asked the chief to send someone over there to just educate the kids about parking there. And also, some of the kids only have the junior license where they're not even supposed to be driving, you know.
That's not a good thing either.
Junior
Yeah.
license is to and from work and school. But
can go
the
to
superintendent
school.
did say that, you know, the enrollment is declined, so they could, there's a possibility of
Well, it
opening more
becomes,
spaces.
it becomes seniors only. That's your issue, because I guarantee you, those are juniors.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so-
It's every
Yeah,
school.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
So, because I know that they can make more space at the high school right behind the admin building.
On the gravel lot.
No, I'm talking on the other
Other
side,
side.
the admin building closer to Argonne. There's a big swath of untouched land that they use for a walkway. You can drive by, and there's a walkway. And they could fit 30 cars in there if they ever, you know, developed it into a parking
Getting
lot.
picked up on the mic.
Well, thank you for your comments,
Thank you.
very important.
We're going to have
Appreciate it.
another notice of public hearing, is
Yeah.
that correct?
No,
Okay.
So-
we don't need another
Well,
notice.
somebody, there's one
There's
more
someone else who
person who
wants to
wants to
speak.
speak.
Because we're gonna go with
We're
no
going to
parking. so
close
we don't need-
this. Oh,
We can close it after she speaks.
okay.
Just a quick comment. There are seniors that park there. My daughter goes there. I drive her to school every day. They don't have enough parking for seniors. And I know that Lars has said that enrollment's going down. So my daughter's already telling me she's not going to get a permit to park there because of her age. So we're sophomores. We're already 2 years away, and she's already telling me she's not getting a permit. So she's already asking, where is she going to park? So this is a multi-year issue. This isn't just, you know, this year and next year. This is going to
So
be
how do they
continuing.
decide which seniors get
I'll
parking
let
privileges?
Lars talk to you about
But her
that.
daughter's a
I'm-
sophomore anyway.
You might have to go to the school board and ask the school board to put more parking in the school, like in the behind where Craig said, and on the gravel lot, where they can fit more
I mean,
cars.
I went to that school, and I parked on Gravel Hill when I was a junior. So this is a longstanding issue, but I just know that there are already seniors, and her grade already knows there aren't enough parking spots for all of them.
Excuse me, could you identify yourself
Sorry,
for the
I'm
record,
Julie
please?
Kasdan, and I
Thank
live
you.
in Hampton Bays.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Julie.
Thanks, Julie.
Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom for the second public hearing?
No one on Zoom.
No Zoom.
All right, so, you want to, can we, is it too much of a change, Jim, to make a change to the dates, to lengthen the dates and shorten the hours without renoticing? Can we
If we
just
could do what
close
we
the-
just did to the,
What?
if we can do what we just did to the land disturbance code without
so-
renoticing, I think we're good on this
No,
one.
but we didn't close that. We're gonna, we want to close
Well,
this
we can-
today,
We
right?
can close it.
I'm fine with the amendments.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the amendments.
We,
What is the,
we can change, either do it on the floor or post it for 10 days and do it the next meeting.
you want to do that? Yeah, I mean,
That
that would
easier?
cover you, right, if you,
Someone going to email it to me, please? the
It's not on
change?
for
Yeah.
adoption today, right?
it's not up for
No,
adoption, no.
okay.
Yeah.
So the changes are September 1st to June 30th, is that?
Yes.
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 As opposed to,
And then 7:30 to
September
4
15th.
instead of 7:30 to 5.
And 7:30 to 4 instead of 7:30 to 5.
And I'm happy to
Post it for
continue
10
to have conversations with the school.
I'm not going to get
I think those are fairly insignificant changes, but yeah, I think, I like Bill's idea, keep it open till,
All right, so you moving to
close it.
keep it open to the next
Did you wanna
meeting
keep it
on
open or
April
closed?
28th?
Yes, keep it open for the 28th. I just got a text that my microphone was off.
Who's going to second Bill's
I'll
motion?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great.
So we're leaving it open.
Leaving it
Thank
open
you,
to reflect
Tom.
the changes.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Moving right along, Madam Clerk, please read the notice for the third public hearing.
Public hearing number 3, to consider amending section 211 entitled littering and handbills.
So this was actually prepared by Sean, who, by the way, we commend him for all of this work that he's done with the town. Sean was great. He was a great partner to the board. He was a great partner to the town attorney's office. He's moving on to bigger and better things.
Did we accept his resignation?
Oh, I don't know. I thought that we did.
I don't even know if it's in here.
Oh,
Accepting Sean's resignation.
is he still here? He's still here, but
No,
he's
he's
not
It'll
here.
be at the next
Friday,
meeting, I
he's-
think.
he's done Friday.
Okay,
it
so.
actually started today already, oh, yesterday.
Okay, so Sean's not here, so essentially, this was put together at the request of the town clerk. Councilman Pell and I looked at this particular section of the code, which is intended to protect and educate residents as to their rights, prohibiting peddlers and solicitors from entering private property.
We're on the littering and handbills first.
Well, number 3, littering and handbills.
Yes.
Yes.
Peddling and that is next.
Yeah, I'm reading from public hearing number 3. The code is
Littering
intended.
and handbills, yeah.
Yeah. So, there were a couple of changes that were made. Section 211-3, Part D in particular, adds a section that no person shall throw, deposit, or distribute any commercial or non-commercial handbill in or upon private property within the town where a, quote, no peddling, no soliciting, or no trespassing sign is conspicuously posted on such property, and also make some changes to 211-5, penalties and offenses. This will help some of the policies and procedures in the clerk's office.
I have a
So
question.
basically, for me, because this hasn't been updated since 1987, so we were trying to remove and update it so it's current, that the town clerk's office will no longer be keeping a list of all town residents that people will call in for to ask, because they're still calling in my office and asking for the list so that they will not peddle or give literature at those locations. So this is archaic, and I appreciate you cleaning it up very much.
So anyone that puts up a sign now knows. So it's-
Well, what's happening too is that some of this is circumvents the next hearing, the peddling and soliciting, where they should be going through the building department in order to get proper licenses for the whatever it is that they're peddling, whether it's roofing or, some other sort of service that is licensed by the town.
I've got a question. Well, does this cover the people who come around and throw the magazines on your front lawn? Then it goes to the next yard and throw the next magazine?
This is where that started, because they used to just throw it, and a lot of times the
Right, you see-
properties were vacant, and then it would pile up, and then it would become an attractive nuisance, because people would know that there was no one living at that location.
Well, in front of it, like if you go down Wicker Pond, there's 15 mailboxes in there on the bottom of each mailbox on the grass.
Well, that is
That cover
what
that?
it is initially was for.
It does in the town, too.
What's that?
They do it in the town, too, throw the mail, you know, the magazines in front of your lawn.
So I'd like to make a motion to close.
Second.
Oh, wait, we have no
We have
cards,
no
but I
cards.
wanted to ask. Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom for this third public hearing?
No one on Zoom.
It's very suspenseful.
Do the part
Motion
about
to
please
close.
turn off.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please read the
Sorry,
notice for the fourth public hearing?
Yes, public hearing number 4, to consider amending section 254 entitled peddling and soliciting.
Yeah, so this again is regarding peddling and soliciting, and some changes were made to page, oh, there's no page, section, I want to say 254-10, part G. Take a look at that. There was an addition. It shall be unlawful for any person to enter upon private property for the purpose of peddling where no peddler, no soliciting, or no trespassing sign is conspicuously posted on private property, and also make some adjustments as well to the section 254-14 penalties and or offenses.
You know, if I may just say, this is very important, because we dealt with this years ago in the village that I used to live in as well, where people were just coming down and knocking on the door, and sometimes it was concerning, you know, they might go around the back door, they might go, you know, somewhere else, which was unacceptable. And we were sent stickers by the municipality, actually, that we could put on our mailbox at the end of our driveway, or post on something at the end of the driveway that said, no soliciting, or something along the no trespassing, or something along those lines. And so once you post that, then they're not supposed to enter the property. That doesn't preclude your mailman or, you know, a delivery from, you know, a courier or something like that. But it is supposed to stop them from coming onto your property without your permission.
We also had in the village hours beyond which people weren't allowed, even if you didn't have a sign. Is there anything in here that limits the hours?
That what?
Do you know?
It's the hours, no, it's not in here.
No, it's just more about, you know, people knowing and being aware that if they put this little signage out at the end of their driveway, that is supposed to alert these people that are coming to peddle that they're not welcome.
And there's been a bigger issue with this because there's been a lot of companies that are like national companies that send out reps that aren't familiar with the area, and they're just
Door to door.
walking up to people's houses, and people don't, it's kind of odd for people to have a salesman come to your door in this day and age, so
Especially with the uptick in,
there's a lot of posts on social media from people saying, did this guy come to anybody else's house? Because it's really suspicious, and so this way, at least people, and two, it's being proactive and letting people know that if you post this,
Pesticides
they
and
can't come.
things like that.
right, yeah, there are scams out there, so it's good that we're dealing with this. And thank you, Clerk Schermeyer, for
My pleasure.
all your work on this.
Anyone on Zoom?
Kevin, is anyone on Zoom for the fourth public hearing?
No one on Zoom.
I'd like to make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the next public hearing?
Public hearing number 5, to consider the historic landmark designation of the site recognized as the David and Marcia Burlick House and the Studio located at 65 Old Riverhead Road, Hampton Bays.
Good afternoon, thank you. For the record, Kelly Doyle, Assistant Town Attorney. There is an aerial photograph of the property we're talking about right here, 65 Old Riverhead Road. This landmark application was filed by the Community Preservation Fund Department. This property is actually owned by the town, and it was purchased using CPF funds for historic preservation and park purposes. As you can see, there are structures on the property, including a principal structure, a garage, and 2 sheds. The proposed name of the landmark site is the David and Marcia, hopefully I'm saying this right, Julie could correct me if I'm wrong, Burliuk House and Studio.
You did have a work session on March 5th, 2026, and Julie Green, town historian, gave an excellent presentation about all the details and historical significance of this site. I'll just touch on a few of those points, and then if you have any other questions, we can have Julie come up and give you some more information. David Berliuk was an artist. He was a renowned painter, poet, and publicist. He was born in Russia in what is now Ukraine, and he eventually emigrated to the U.S. with his wife, and they ended up settling at this property in Hampton Bays. The Berliuk home, studio, and exhibit gallery on this property attracted a circle of artists, and their work often depicted local landscapes and activities. Berliuk and his wife published an art and literature magazine, so not just David Berliuk, but also his wife was a significant historic person. And Berliuk's works have been shown both locally and all around the world, nationally. Did you want any more information on the history? We could have Julie come up, or if you have any other questions for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There is a resolution of adoption on your agenda today.
Okay, thanks. So, I don't have any cards on this. Is there anybody on Zoom that wishes to be heard?
No one on Zoom.
Julie, did you want to add anything to what Kelly said? I think she said it perfectly. Okay.
I have one other thing.
You have one question?
I just want to tell Julie, thank you for keeping a closer eye on this building, because there was a water leak in it, and she caught it in time.
Thank you.
And there's plenty of trees on the property.
All right, well, if there's no other comments, then I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then, Madam Clerk, would you please call the
Public hearing number 6 for a proposed change in non-conforming use from repair and machine shop to office at 60 South Country Road, Hamlet of Quiog.
Hi, good evening, or good afternoon, rather. Teresa Mason, just putting up the elevations because I forgot to do that earlier. With the Planning Division, and this is a request to change the non-conforming use at 60 Old Country, South Country Road in Quiog to, from an automotive repair shop, which you can see here, to an office of 3,000 square feet footprint, 1 story. We did have a work session on this in December. We also did have a public hearing on this in January, but unfortunately there was some notice issues. So we are here again today to properly notice the public hearing, which was done, and then also again to be sure to answer any questions with respect to the change in non-conforming use. As you are aware, there is some residential construction to the south of South Country Road, and there is some industrial construction to the north. There is a pending site plan application to the northeast of the project, which will include a commercial and residential element. But again, this is to take from the industrial machine shop and auto repair use to a office use, which is more consistent with the surrounding residential community. So I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Teresa. Anybody have any questions for Teresa?
No, but I think.
I do have one card.
I do, okay.
Grania Zernecka? Hi.
My name is Grażyna Czarnecka. I am actually live at 49 South Country Road, and my property is just against the street. And I believe that 3,000 square feet office will affect us because will bring more business and more, people who will park more cars. And we have just Chesterfield, and another side it's Long Island Crane.
Mm-hmm.
And that street is getting much busier, and I live over there since 1995. And it was very quiet, very nice community. And now I just, believe for our safety. So, I don't like this one. If you will be 3,000 square feet residential house, will be different. So thank you so much for
Thank you
hearing
for
me.
your comments.
I think the applicant is here. I
Yes.
mean, and just to be clear, this does still have to go through site plan. There has to be appropriate parking for all the uses on site. They can't park on the street. It'll all be contained on the site. But if you wouldn't mind speaking to address some of the concerns.
And there was also a CAC meeting where the applicant spoke to the community, and generally speaking, the community expressed favorability towards some of the cleaning up of some of those various units there.
Make it look better.
Hi, Joe Lombardi from the Rayner Group for the applicant. Before I get started, I have the notice, I have the affidavit of posting.
I think we already received that via, right?
That was the mailing.
Oh, okay.
So,
You have to hand that in over here.
Thank you.
thank you. The redevelopment of the site with a 3,000 square foot office actually is a less intense use. All of the storage structures that are on the property will be removed. There's two entrances onto Old Country Road. That's going to be eliminated. There'll just be one entrance.
Kevin, could you move the camera, please? No, you're okay, Joe. We just want to, go ahead,
There'll be
continue.
additional plantings along here. The building is actually going to be set back further from the road than it is now. And as far as the use, it's actually going to be used by the adjacent property as the office.
Can you, please move it back over there.
So I think currently, right now, the way it sits, and that it's not exactly like, I think the concern is, there are trailers, there are trucks, but all that goes away with this use, because that right now, correct me if I'm wrong, is a separate tenant.
Right.
This will be used by the property owner just for office space for the business that's there, not an additional business coming in. So I think some of the concerns might be that this is an office building that's going to bring in more uses and more businesses, and it's not. It's just for the business that's currently on the site.
It's for Chesterfield themselves.
For Chesterfield, right. They've been operating out of a trailer for years. Now they want to have a proper
Speak
office.
from there, ma'am.
Oh, it's-
In a minute.
So she's asking where the entrance is going to be.
The entrance will be in this area, but this one will be closed off.
So you're only gonna have one going in and out.
And the building that's currently there will be demolished.
Right, everything that's on the site now will be eliminated.
Eliminated.
So it's gonna be, instead of all of the stuff that's there and the repair shop with a separate person in it with all their stuff, it's going to be one nice cleaned up office building with parking, and it'll all be contained in one area.
And the parking will be in the back?
Can I ask you to do me a favor? After we're done, if you could speak to this gentleman, would you
Sure.
mind just
Not at
explaining?
all.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you can't speak from the audience, though. No one can hear.
There's also, if you want to walk up and take a look, she's posting up a survey of how it's going to be laid out, so you can see it.
And the parking is in the back, right, Joe?
Yes. There are a couple of spaces that are in the front, the handicap space is in the front, but the other parking is in the back.
Greg? Oh, no.
And this is going to be an office for
No, that's not in Chesterfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I already?
Yeah, that's not in Chesterfield.
Yeah, and then this is what it looks like.
Good?
Thank you.
Kevin,
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Kevin, is there anyone on
No.
Zoom
Okay, we can't.
for this last public hearing?
No one on Zoom.
No one's on Zoom. All right.
We'll close it?
Bill, what would you like to do?
I'd like to close it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
public
Well,
session.
that brings us to public portion, but our one speaker just exited the room.
He went to the bathroom.
You know he went to the bathroom, or did he leave?
No, I saw him.
Do you want to see if there's anyone on Zoom?
Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom for public portion?
No one on Zoom.
No.
Okay.
I think we should just close it and move on.
No, because you have it fit.
Who chose to leave?
What are we doing?
Get that air
Person
here.
for public portion.
Oh, there's someone for Joe's for public portion?
No,
Oh, Ray.
Right.
but nobody
Else.
was on Zoom. No one else is for that public hearing. We just closed it. So, is there a resolution on for that today?
No, it'll be on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just to fail for the next time.
Maria, why don't you just start with the resolution? And if he does come back, you can.
At the end. You can take him at the end.
All right, take it out of order. All right, let's get going with, thank you,
Thank you.
Janice and Teresa.
Janice, thanks, Teresa.
Go with the resolutions then.
All right.
Let's get started.
Get some updates, I know. Town Board Resolution 593 of 2026, authorize the supervisor to execute parks and recreation agreements for various programs.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0641, co-sponsored by Councilmember Iacilli, to authorize change order number 2 for professional services related to the engineering design of the new sanitary system at the Southampton Animal Shelter with the Rayner Group, PE&LS PLLC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public portion, come up. 3 minutes.
gotta,
Oh,
It's tough,
we
right?
should go to water or no?
No, because we didn't close it.
Okay. Are you sure?
We didn't close public portion.
When nature calls.
We didn't end it,
Ray
though.
D'Angelo, Hampton Bays.
This is excruciating.
Some of you don't know me. Okay, I'm just gonna go back to that terrible day, I guess it was in February, end of February, or beginning of March, that we had the big storm. And I live on a private road, and maintain it, I do. It's in pretty good shape. However, and we have a guy that plows, but that was an incredible amount of snow. It was like up to here on us. And he couldn't come down the block now. It started snowing on Saturday night. Monday afternoon, Monday late in the evening, early in the evening, I called Ryan Murphy. I said, we're trapped here. We're stranded on this block. And he said, and I like Ryan. This is the protocol. Because, well, you last year, a private road. I said, we have older people, namely me. We can't get an ambulance down here. He says, well, we have a protocol. And the protocol is like if the ambulance goes there, they can't get down the road, they call the fire department. If they feel they need to be plowed, they call the highway department. So I said, Ryan, what do you call the morgue after that? I mean, it's it's like, it's too late, time is precious. And life hazard is always paramount. So I just think that when you declare a snow emergency, the protocol should be that every road gets hit at least once, so like people can get in and out. I know if they want to widen it from curb to curb, I can understand that. I mean, we're on a private road, but, we were trapped. Like my neighbor across the street had lost his heat, and, it took almost an hour to get a heater from my house over to him. And it really was a precarious situation and everything. It really was. And I would like that, if we could have a protocol, change that, tell the highway department to hit every road at least once, so you don't have, we don't have this situation where people, I know that they keep saying private road, but we pay taxes for fire department, the police, the ambulance, and if we can't get those services, we're being denied those services. So I really would like that to be changed. And the other thing is, we get a $5,000 exclusion off the real property of the real estate. And that's nothing. I mean, that's been like that for 20 years. You know, you times the tax rate by $5,000, it comes out to a pittance. And it costs a lot of money to maintain that road. And that's another problem, is that not all the residents on these private roads want to maintain it. And I was told one of the reasons why when the first the first snow emergency, which was very good, they did plow it, ours got plowed, is that a lot of the roads were unplowable because they're like the moon surface. And she's not here today, but she's on that block, and she can't, some of the people on the block are landlords, they don't care. And I thought that maybe it should be an ordinance that either annually or biannually, that the superintendent of highways inspects these roads and see if they're passable for emergency equipment. And if they're not, you know, the town can issue a summons to these people that they got to maintain their road. Because, again, you know, you need 13 feet of clearance, and you need...
30 seconds.
You need it so, like, you know, it's not moonscape, so you can go down it. So I think, you know, if we could take those suggestions, and maybe we can improve the situation. I know it's a private road, under normal snow conditions, we take care of it, but the last time this happened was in 2022. It was a similar situation. So, again, I think it's important, and it's a matter of safety and life.
3 minutes.
If I could, if you're done, I don't want to take away your...
I just got the penalty flag.
It's been almost 4, actually.
That's how
Since you
you-
sat
we
for
took-
3.5 hours to speak a public portion, I gave you a little
Okay,
bit more
thank you
time.
for that.
Just want to make sure, if you're not aware, Ray, there is a process to bring a private road into the town road system. It's called Town Law
Well,
200.
Yeah, I know that the process exists,
Okay.
and the people on the block don't want to do that, and I understand that. And our road is, I had it paved originally, and then we're trying to keep it, we keep it updated. And, you know, we're not asking, only when we have this unusual situation, which happened last time was 2022, and now it's 2026, and it was a very serious, I mean, I was stuck in my house for 4 days, you know? Good thing I get along with my wife, you know?
Well, when I issue those emergency orders, it does authorize the highway department to do the private roads.
Yeah, I know, but
But
well, I don't want to,
I
I
know.
spoke to Ryan, and Ryan goes, I want to manage your expectations. Maybe we'll get to you on Wednesday.
So,
Now, this is from Saturday night. I mean, that's, you know.
so
health
I
issues.
will say that Ryan did pass along your concerns directly to me, because I am the liaison public safety. I did, at a work session, ask the highway superintendent about the plowing of private roads during a snow emergency. It authorizes him to do it. It doesn't mandate him to do it. I know with that storm, they did all they could do just to keep the town roads plowed. They had equipment failures. They had all kinds of other things. I do also know that in every emergency, including a major fire and emergencies for health, there were every single person that needed to get somewhere to either fight a fire or take somebody to the ambulance got there. We did have, the plows were detoured to go with the ambulance if need be. The problem is on private roads, a lot of times when an emergency is declared, a lot of people on private roads take that to mean they can cancel their private, and I know that that wasn't the case in your aspect, but it does happen a lot in the town, that once a state of emergency is declared, people cancel their plow person that they have to pay and wait on the highway to do it.
I like Ryan, and this is not, you know, I know he's following the protocol that he has to, so this is not a knock on him. I'm not.
But I just wanted you to know he did bring me your concerns.
I know, and Ryan worked with me, you know, and then he called me back, and we finally got a contractor with a tracked skid steer, you know, a tractor to do it, and he worked all day to clear our road. So, I mean, I just was concerned that, you know, this situation is it's a life and death situation. Somebody has a heart attack and everything, and just like, you know, when you see these floods, you see the people on the roofs, they go get them. They don't say, well, you're on a private road or you're a private farm, we're going to come back for you. So it's a life hazard. Life hazard takes precedence over everything.
But that's what I just wanted you to know too, though. Everybody that needed to get to the hospital
I'm
got
happy.
there.
I'm happy. It was a really unusual situation.
It was.
And I just wanted to point that. The last time it was in 2022. So just that.
Hopefully it doesn't happen for another 10 years.
It happened when I was a kid, it happened all the time, because we used to have real winters, but.
And just to put it in perspective, we have about 450 miles of town road that the town highway department's responsible for. We have another 100 miles of private road in this town. So when you add the
Well,
private road into the town road, that's a lot of
She's
miles.
not here, I wish she would've came, but she had a family situation. Our road is, our block is good, that we work together, but a lot of these people, don't, and what happens is, you get potholes, and the road becomes moonscaped, and you can't plow it anyway, and, you go up and down, you gotta go 2 miles an hour, and I think that's important, like, maybe the highway superintendent can inspect these things annually or biannually, and say, this road is not passable for us,
I
you're
don't-
gonna have to straighten
Jim,
it
to
out.
that point, I think it would open us up to too much liability.
Yeah, it also depends on who owns the road. Some of the private roads, the people own to the middle of the road. Some people,
Well, I don't know the legalities of it, but, I mean,
some people, one person at the end of the road owns the whole road. Okay, all depends. And the guy, whoever developed it might own the road, and he's out of business 100 years
Well, it should be
ago.
looked into. I don't know,
Yeah.
I'm not an attorney. We have a great attorney right here. You can look into it. And
You can look into who actually owns your road. That's what you should do.
And on that note, Ray, we kept public portion open just for you, so we're going to move on.
very much. I appreciate, I love all of you, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming, Ray, and for your patience. All right, I move to close public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cindy's
All
up.
right, let's
Town Board
continue.
Resolution 642 of 2026, authorize supervisor to sign a contract with LK McLean Associates, Engineering and Surveying DPC for professional engineering services related to the drainage design at East Quogue Village Green.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0646 to authorize the supervisor to execute a contract amendment with H2M Architects and Engineers to provide professional surveying services for the Fire Island Inlet to Montauk Point project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 647 of 2026, authorize supervisor to sign a contract extension with LMJ ENT LLC, doing business as the Sandcastle Cafe for Tiana Beach concession for the 2026 summer session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0648 to authorize the supervisor to renew the purchase of network hardware and software maintenance from SourcePass Contemporary LLC.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Town Board Resolution 2026-0649, co-sponsored by the entire board, to authorize funding for the Peconic Estuary Partnership from 2026 Community Preservation Fund water quality monies and create a capital account for water quality projects from a portion of the 2026 award.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-651, co-sponsored with Supervisor Moore. Authorize the supervisor to sign any and all documents with Intergraph Corporation, DBA Hexagon Safety and Infrastructure for the town police.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-652, authorize the supervisor to execute the 2026 Family Service League Grant Agreement to provide mental health outreach and counseling to youth and families.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 653 of 2026, authorize supervisor to execute the 2026 Human Understanding and Growth Services HUGS Grant Agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-654, to authorize the supervisor to execute the 2026 Inspirational Triathlon Racing, Inc., DBA iTri Grant Agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 655 of 2026, authorize supervisor to sign a contract extension with Ozzy's Frosty, Inc. for mobile concessions at Pikes Beach and Sagmain Beach.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0656, recall and amend Town Board Resolution 2026-0092, authorize supervisor to sign any and all documents with IWORQ System, Inc. for cloud hoisting software. It's also co-sponsored with Marie Moore, the supervisor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-657, to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Labella Associates DPC to provide professional traffic engineering service to evaluate and develop mitigation measures at identified locations, co-sponsored with Supervisor Moore and Councilperson Neely.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0658 to authorize the purchase of one 2026 Ford F-350 Super, I guess it is Chaz, Exterior XL from Olathe Ford Sales, Inc., Sourcewell contract number is indicated for automobiles, SUVs, vans, and light trucks with related equipment and accessories.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0659, to authorize the purchase of one 2026 Ford F-150 4x4 Super Cab from Olathe Ford Sales, Inc., Sourcewell contract number is indicated for automobiles, SUVs, vans, and light trucks with related equipment and accessories.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0660, to authorize the purchase of one 2026 Ford X2B 4x4 Super Cab SRW from Olathe Ford Sales, Inc., Sourcewell contract number is indicated for automobiles, SUVs, vans, and light trucks with related equipment and accessories.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Town Board Resolution 2026-0661, I'm going to withdraw, it's a duplicate.
Resolution 2026-0662, authorize the supervisor to sign a solo source contract, Suffolk County Brake Service as author dealer of Taco product for purchase of a Taco Hurricane 4030 DR leaf machine and parts.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Town Board Resolution 663 of 2026, authorize supervisor to sign a contract with Brian D'Amico, doing business as Dynamix Productions New York LLC, for 2026 sound system at Good Ground Park.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0664, authorize supervisor to sign a no-cost contract extend with Decar Construction, Inc. for Lake Agawam South Parking improvement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0665, co-sponsored by Councilmember Iacilli, to authorize the supervisor to sign any and all documents with Celebrite, Inc. to assist the town police department in providing evidentiary data to other agencies.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0666, co-sponsored by Councilmember Iacilli, to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Magnet Forensics LLC for digital evidence analysis tool and platform subscription services for the town police department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 667 of 2026, co-sponsored with Councilman Neely, authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with H2M Architects and Engineers to provide engineering services for the GAC changeout at Plant Number 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0668, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara, authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with H2M Architects and Engineers to assist the Hampton Bays Water District in the administration and overseeing of the water meter replacement program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0669, co-sponsored by Council Members McNamara and Pell, to accept the donation of a 2003 Hallmark trailer from Suffolk County Department of Fire, Rescue, and Emergency Services.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0670, authorize supervisor to sign a no-cost contract extension with L.K. McLean, Associate Engineer, Survey DPC, to provide design permitting for stormwater quality improvement at Long Neck Boulevard in Flanders.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0671, to authorize the supervisor to renew an agreement with eScope Solutions, Inc. for IT services.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0676, authorization for the supervisor to execute a contract with Suffolk County Office for the Aging for Title III-E Adult Daycare.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0677, authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Nursing Citrus Home Care, DBA Catholic Home Care, to provide expanded in-home services for the elderly program to the town of Southampton residents.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-678, recall and amend Resolution 2026-421 to authorize the supervisor to execute a 2026 Youth Bureau agreement with Youth Bureau Programming Consultants.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Town Board Resolution 2026-0679, to recall and amend Resolution Number 2026-0450, and authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with Ed Wolferstorf to assist with the review of backlog permit plans in the Department of Land Management.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0680, authorized general fund pay-as-you-go purchase of a 36-inch trench for skid steer with adjustable digging depth.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Resolution 2026-0681, co-sponsored with Cynthia McNamara, authorized the supervisor to sign a grant agreement with Conscious Point Shellfish to use water quality protection fund to provide culture and seeding of oysters and clams to distribute in the town's waters.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Madam Clerk, may I be added to that?
Town Board Resolution 2026-0682, co-sponsored by Councilman Member Iacilli, to declare items surplus and to authorize the disposal of vehicles.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0684, to recall and amend Resolution Number 2026-0420, and authorize the purchase of one 2026 Ford F-350 Super Chassis Cabin from Olathe Ford Sales, Inc., Sourcewell contract number as indicated for automobiles, SUVs, vans, and light trucks with related equipment and accessories.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0685, the renewal of Zendex for ticketing and tracking system.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0686, award BP 2026-0010, authorized supervisor to sign contract with Faith Machinery Corp. for one automatic baling machine.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent.
Resolution 2026-0687, award BP 2026-008, authorized supervisor to sign contract with Chesterfield, Inc. for Bay Avenue East improvement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 0703 of 2026, authorized change orders for the Poxbog Golf Center building renovations with Norco Construction, Inc.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Resolution 2026-688, notice to bidders for Havens House Barn restoration and site improvements, bid number as indicated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0689, notice to bidders for Baycrest bulkhead replacement, bid number BP 2026-0022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good to get these things done.
Resolution 2026-0690, notice to bidders for requirement contract for roof repair and service and installation, bid number BP 2026-0023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0625, co-sponsored by council members Iacilli and Neely, to amend the 2026 adopted budget for transportation and traffic safety.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0643, to deposit monies into escrow for professional services in connection with the Connor Friedlander subdivision map application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0644, to deposit monies into escrow account for professional services in connection with the Heatherwood at Hampton Bays site plan special exception application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0675, I'm going to withdraw that. It's going to be replaced with one that's in our walk-on packet. Town Board Resolution 2026-0683, to amend the 2026 budget for various departments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0691, to amend the 2026 adopted budget for Police Department small equipment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0645, to reappoint Father Constantine Lazarakis to the Board of Ethics.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0672, to authorize the continuation of legal services by Wilson, Elser, Moskowitz, Edelman, and Dicker LLP on behalf of the town of Southampton.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0673, co-sponsored by Councilman Pell, to authorize the town attorney to retain the law offices of Wilson, Elser, Moskowitz, and Edelman and Dicker to represent the interests of the Highway Department as it relates to the Southampton town roadways paved by Suffolk Paving Corp.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0597. This is the resolution of adoption amending Section 211 entitled Littering and Handbills. Co-sponsored with Councilman Pell.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-601, also co-sponsored with Councilman Pell. Resolution of adoption amending Chapter 254, Peddling and Soliciting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0636, co-sponsored by the entire board. I have one small amendment that I did give to Sunday already. It's with the
I'll second the amendment.
seventh whereas clause, just adding language to incorporate in the resolution reference to the town board's secret findings.
Okay.
So,
You have a second?
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and so Town Board Resolution 2026-0636, determination of non-significance, secra negative declaration, and resolution of adoption, amending Town Code Chapter 111, Article 6, construction in and adjacent to town waters and beach areas to prohibit the construction of private docks in the Peconic Bay.
Same
Second.
second?
All in
Same
favor?
vote.
Aye.
Aye.
As amended.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, that was,
Big.
Yep, that's a big one.
you know, and even though some people were concerned that we didn't have the authority, we got a very comprehensive memo from our Assistant Town Attorney, Kelly Doyle, that set forth exactly what the rules
Yeah,
were.
you can put docks on the north side of Peconic Bay. You can't put docks on the south side of Long Island Sound. There's a give and a take, and those places should not be docks on it.
Kelly's put a lot of research into, and Kelly and I met with the DEC on this, we spoke with the Department of State, we spoke with a number of different agencies, and as well as Town of Southold. They've been enacted this a number of years back, so
And I
appreciate all the work Kelly's done on this.
Yes.
I would just also like to thank Councilman Pell for your leadership on this issue. I know you've been dealing with this also as a trustee and brought
Yes.
that knowledge into this particular experience here, so.
Especially being on the water all my life and going up and down the bay. I don't want to see old docks floating around in the springtime.
Yeah, if any winter showed us why it was this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, there was just one thing in particular, no, I don't have it with me, but.
A dock floating in the bay?
No, no, just, there was something that someone said that we would, they were saying there was a restriction as to what we could do, but Kelly pointed out that in the statute itself, it exempted Suffolk and Nassau counties. So we're on good legal footing with this. Thank you, Jim and Kelly.
No, it's-
Yes,
it's-
thank you.
So definitely worthwhile, and it's an interesting issue, but we feel we're in the right place on this one.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks for your work.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0542, co-sponsored by Councilmember Neely, to designate the site located at 65 Old Riverhead Road, Hampton Bays, as an historic town landmark to be recognized as the David and Marussia Berliak House and Studio.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye. Sunday, could you add me as a sponsor to that? I don't know how.
Myself too.
Michael, you want to be added to that?
It's fine, yeah.
How about Marie?
I'm on there, yeah. Thank you, Bill.
Oh, boy.
Michael, was that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Town Board Resolution 596 of 2026, co-sponsored with Councilman Pell. Authorization of cost reimbursement waiver for the North Sea Fire Department Annual Carnival from June 30th to July 4th, 2026, from 6 p.m. to 11:30 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's a fun carnival.
It is. And there's fireworks.
Dogs don't like that.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0624, co-sponsored by Councilmember Pell, to authorize the CPF tax refund pursuant to the first-time home buyer's exemption for Fabiola Lopez and Berardo Cardona. All in favor?
Aye.
Me.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0626, to authorize CPF tax refund pursuant to the first-time home buyer's exemption for Samantha Barrett and Daniel Burns.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0628, to authorize CPF tax refund pursuant to the first-time home buyer's exemption for Janice and Seth Schakowsky. All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 639 of 2026, authorized building permit fee waiver for Eastport Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 650 of 2026, authorized waiver of Parks and Recreation Facility use fee for Village of East Quogue beautification fundraiser.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0674, to authorize the 2026 Sag Harbor Cinema movie admission rates for Town of Southampton residents.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 698 of 2026, accept donation on behalf of the East Quogue Park District.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And thank you again to Kathy Zambetti and John Picone for the donation of a 20-foot Norway spruce, I said say spruce for the East Quogue Village Green.
It's going to be beautiful, especially decorated for the holidays.
If it never ends up in New York City.
If it gets that big.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0634, to release the maintenance bond in connection with a site plan special exception application for Jedi Holdings LLC.
Second.
All in favor?
And just to go back to the tree, it can't, because we're gonna have a tree ordinance.
No, it doesn't,
It'll be
it
a
doesn't,
tree
it
of
doesn't exempt you from
significance.
removing a tree of significance.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0696, the release of a maintenance bond in connection with Norrell's Farm Stand.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town Board Resolution 2026-0579, to accept the retirement of John Jabone.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026.
Can I just say that the sponsors noted on this are Selena Burbig?
Oh, in the summary part?
Yeah. In this, on page 10 of the agenda review, Sunday,
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
in the agenda review, on page 10,
The summary?
We're going back to page 10?
No, he's on the agenda review, and it's not in the actual,
but it's on the summary. I just wanted to make it known.
she was
I'm
the,
not saying what we're
oh.
talking about.
He's reading off the summary.
Can you explain?
You got it? Thank you.
Resolution 2026-0580, authorized reimbursement for drug court judges' attendance.
No, we did it.
111.
We did it.
Wait.
Yeah,
Oh,
now we're on 580, which is Bill's reading.
Association of Treatment Courts and Professional Annual Training Conference in Saginaw, New York, held on March 4th through March 6th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0626, appoint members to the North Sea and Watermill Citizens Advisory Committees.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0630, to accept the retirement of Janet Hebert.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0692, to appoint Elizabeth George to Principal Office Assistant position in the Parks Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0693, to appoint Charlotte Dickinson to Environmental Technician position in the Trustee's Office.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0694, to appoint Casey Cawley to Environmental Technician position in the Community Preservation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0695, co-sponsored by Council Members Pell and McNamara, to appoint Catherine Garvin to Senior Assistant Town Attorney position in the Town Attorney's Office.
Second.
Very
All in
well.
favor?
Aye.
Congratulations,
Shouldn't
Katie.
that be an all town board?
Yes.
sponsor?
Yes.
They all want to be on
Thank you.
Very well deserved.
Very, very hard work. that you have done.
Yes.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0699 to accept the resignation of an employee in the Municipal Works Department. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm going to withdraw Town Board Resolution 2026-0700 at the request of the department head. Town Board Resolution 2026-0701, the adoption of the Town of Southampton's Title VI plan related to federal funding assistance to local government entities.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0702 to transfer of Recreation Program Planner position from Senior Services Division to Youth Services Division.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-0566, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara. Notice of public hearing for the consideration of one-year agricultural use agreements for 2026/2027 pursuant to Chapter 247 of the Town Code.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2026-0637, a resolution to authorize eminent domain proceedings and to schedule a public hearing for the acquisition of property necessary for the Fire Island Inlet to Montauk Point, New York Coastal Storm Risk Management Project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And, you know, at the work session, I had indicated that I thought that all these people were resisting the easements, but I was told later by the town attorney's office that we have to name everybody for whom we're getting an easement, whether they're agreeable to it or not.
Yeah, we're gonna have the public hearing, just in case we, at some point, need to exercise the eminent domain on these
Yeah.
proceedings. Well, hopefully, we're gonna have, and where offers are going out, Kelly's working real hard on this. The offers are going, the appraisals are being done, finished up, and the offers are going out, and so far, we've been getting a pretty good response. We have a lot of questions from people, but, we're answering them. We've met with some of the folks that have come in, and we've talked to them, had nice conversations with them, and we're in continuing conversations, meetings every week with the Army Corps of Engineers. We're all trying to work together to try to get this process going, hopefully, possibly by the fall of this year, but, it's been a long process to acquire these easements, and the similar project was taken over in Fire Island, and the County of Suffolk was our role. The County of Suffolk has a Department of Public Works, and it has 60 attorneys, and,
Which is lovely that they cut us loose.
yeah, so we're really doing the same job they did and with our staff, and it's really, Kelly and with my help at times, and we've tried to use some of the outside people that the county had used too, so.
Yeah, you two have really been the focusing on it.
It's an interesting project, and it's extremely worthwhile, obviously, but, so we're hoping, again, at this point, we have the offers are going out. If we get the acceptances, hopefully we're gonna get acceptance from everybody, at least to just sign the easements. If somebody wants to fight over the amount they're getting paid, we can reserve that, and we can fight in court or try to work on that at a later date, but sign the easements now, get the project going, protect the shoreline, protect their houses, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, good, perfect. Thank you, Jim. Town Board Resolution 2026-0638, co-sponsored by the entire board, a notice of public hearing to consider the acquisition of 17 Larboard Road and 24 North Road in the hamlet of Hampton Bays, and to amend the CPF project plan to include 24 North Road property and the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the properties. All in favor?
Aye.
Does that bring us to the?
There's one more.
There's one more. Oh. Here it is. Town Board Resolution 2026-0640, co-sponsored by the entire board. A notice of public hearing to consider the Town of Southampton Highway Department Water Quality Improvement Projects for 2026 Community Preservation Fund 20% Water Quality Improvement Project funding.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then that brings us to the walk-ons. Tom, you've got the first one?
Yep. Let me find it. Thank you. Resolution 2026-0717, authorize the sole assessor to attend the 2026 New York's NYSAA quarterly meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Town Board Resolution 2026-0718, to amend the 2025 budget for various departments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 721 of 2026, award bid package as indicated and authorize supervisor to sign contract with Coastal Commercial Property Management, Inc. for rebid landscaping and plant cultivation services at various town locations west of Shinnecock Canal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's a relief.
Yeah.
And then Town Board Resolution 2026-0722, the warrant number 7, capital number 7, CPF number 7 of April 14th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I just want to thank Kim for those minutes from the last meeting. They were pretty lengthy, and I think you're going to have a lengthy one again this time. But thank you for your attention to detail. All right, does anybody else have anything they want to? No? All right.
We're good.
Well, if there being no further business, I move to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.